Live from Madison Square Garden in New York City, we present the undisputed heavyweight championship. In action tonight, one of boxing's top young heavyweights, Johnny Ruiz, taking on Mario Cawley. You'll also see Fernando Vargas defending his junior middleweight crown against Howard Clark, and welterweight champion James Page versus Sam Garb. And finally, the main event. It's been 6.5 years since boxing last had an undisputed heavyweight champion. Just hours from now, either Evander Holyfield or Lennox Lewis will be recognized as the one and only heavyweight champion of the world. The undisputed World Heavyweight Championship is being brought to you by Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. Budweiser, undisputed, undefeated king of beers. MoneyGram, international money transfer. Golden Ram Memory, the fastest growing memory company in the world. And by TVKO, pay-per-view entertainment from HBO. Madison Square Garden, a storied arena that is known as the Mecca of boxing. Tonight, it will host the biggest heavyweight bout since the Muhammad Ali-Joe Frazier epic back in March of 1971, when champions Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis put their respective belts on the line in a unification bout. This much anticipated fight sold out the first week of January, making it the fastest sellout of any prize fight in this building. Over 1,300 press credentials from 30 different countries have been issued for tonight's heavyweight showdown. And good evening, everyone. I'm James Brown, and welcome to TVKO's presentation of Championship Boxing. And I'm pleased to be joined this evening by my co-host, Roy Jones Jr., the bearer of 2 championship belts in the light heavyweight division. And Roy, we know there is no shortage of storylines going into this fight, but let's start with Lennox Lewis. He's complained, and with good reason, over the years that most of the big names in the heavyweight division have avoided him. He finally has the fight that will define his career, but some say he's not fought in a big fight. Is that a fair accusation or not?
It's fair, but yet it's still unfair. Reason being, James, because Lennox Lewis has been around searching for big fights for some time now. He searched for big fights against Riddick Bowe, never got him. He waited for a big opportunity against Mike Tyson, never got it. So therefore, he had to fill in substitutes. He had Bruno, he had McCall, he had Tommy Morrison, and a couple of other fights that were okay, but nothing to this magnitude. However, I do feel as though those fights got him prepared for a fight of this magnitude. So he's like a coon dog. He's always searched around for a raccoon. He finally has one tree. Now let's see what'll happen when that raccoon comes down from that tree.
So the enormity of this fight will not overwhelm him, you think?
No, I don't think so. He's had enough big fights in his country. The Razor Ruddock fight, the Frank Bruno fight, those were big fights to him. That was a war for his own home country in a sense. So he's been enough big battles, I think, to prepare him for this properly.
And of course, many say that Evander Holyfield, we know him to be a warrior. He's got that reputation, 16-2 in world title fights. The question is, has he fought in one war too many? We will find the answer to that one as well, Roy, this evening. There are plenty of other dominant topics to be discussed this evening. That will be done by the guys calling the action ringside tonight. So let's head downstairs to Big George Foreman, Larry Merchant, and our anchor, Jim Lampley.
All right, thank you very much, James Brown. We will be calling a total of 4 fights tonight on the pay-per-view card, of which the main event, the heavyweight championship battle, could be the third or could be the last, depending on how long the earlier fights go. But as we look down the road to the heavyweight championship fight, we bring in a man who won the world title 2 separate times in his career. George Foreman, newspaper coverage here in New York this week prior to the fight, dominated by Evander Holyfield's uncharacteristic, not prediction in his words, he says a prophecy, a fact, that he'll knock Lennox Lewis out in the 3rd round. Do you think that Holyfield is trying to psych Lewis out, or is he trying to psych himself up?
Well, Evander Holyfield has become a hero, and all of our sports heroes start making these predictions. Remember Babe Ruth pointing to the flag post, hits the home run. Joe Louis telling his trainer, Chappie, you'll have to climb up the steps but once. And Broadway Joe, we're going to bring the Super Bowl, we're going to win it. So that's the way we do it sometimes. You get in that zone and you start talking like that. He's in that zone.
He's been selling the pay-per-view pretty effectively, too.
I like that.
According to what we can gather. For more on it, let's turn to HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant, working with us as always live here on TVKO. Larry, do you think that Holyfield's unusual prophecy of a 3rd round knockout was triggered by Lewis having publicly called him a religious hypocrite for flaunting his religion in public while privately fathering children out of wedlock.
Punch, counterpunch. Has to be a connection. If Lennox Lewis, however, had gone out and predicted a third-round knockout, divinely inspired no less, we'd all be saying that he had gone bonkers, that he had gone mad before the big fight. But we take it with a mild sort of astonishment coming from Evander Holyfield, because he has a record in this regard, because we know that he uses his deep religious conviction to arm himself as he goes into battle. As a secular commentator, I'm reminded of the story of the reporter covering a devastating flood who wrote the lead, "God sat on a rock weeping." His editor wired back, "Forget flood, interview God." I've been trying to get confirmation of that pick all week long, but I couldn't find God to interview. However, if Evander Holyfield comes through with his prophecy, there'll be an awful lot of converts here, Jim, tonight.
Yes, one of our vice presidents, in fact, telling Evander, if you pull this off, I want to go to your church. But heavyweights in the climactic event of the evening, and heavyweights to start the evening off. We turn our attention to the ring and a look at a man named John Ruiz, who is ranked number 1 by one of the 3 governing bodies, number 2 by another, and expects to get a chance somewhere down the road against the winner of Holyfield Lewis. There's the record. Ruiz believes his career has turned completely around since its lowest moment, March 15, 1996. This is the beginning of round 1 in his fight against David Tua. Tua knocked Ruiz out with that one-punch left hook onslaught, followed by all of these blows. The bout lasted a total of 19 seconds. Ruiz, since that embarrassment, 8-0 with 7 knockouts. Fascinatingly, those 2 governing bodies which rank him so highly both rank him ahead of David Tua. Across the ring from him, the opponent is Mario Cawley, who has been fighting in Tennessee for the past couple of years. He lost a bout last year in New Jersey in the early part of the year, and his manager said, "I'm cutting you off because of the way you fought." It's been a long wait since then, but Cawley says he's recommitted to the sport and hopes to get another chance by proving himself with a good performance here against Ruiz. Hail of the tape for John Ruiz and Mario Cawley, and a precursor to the main event because there's a size disparity here. Cawley weighing in at 212, outweighed 22 pounds by Ruiz. Again, when we get to Holyfield Lewis, the difference will be 31 pounds. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
Johnny Ruiz, Mario Cawley fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using those unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
Tonight on TVKO, our ring announcer is Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you, and we welcome you to the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden in New York City, as we have a big night of action in store for you, and it's all brought to you by Don King Productions in association with Panics of the U.S. Main events, Madison Square Garden, TVKO, and the undefeated, undisputed king of beers, Budweiser. This Bud's for you. We bring to your attention that tonight's card is dedicated to the memory of former longtime president of Madison Square Garden Boxing, Harry Markson, who among his many accomplishments was responsible for bringing Ali versus Frazier here to the Mecca of boxing some 28 years ago. Well, fans, at this time we present the big boys of boxing. Heavyweights in the ring in this bout, sanctioned by the World Boxing Association North America, President Jimmy Binns, Senior Supervisor Jimmy Binns Jr., along with the New York State Athletic Commission. Introducing to you at this time our judges scoring the bout, all from the state of New York, Frank Adams, Joe Dwyer, and Melvina Lathan, with our referee in charge of this bout from New York City, Jim Santa. All right, fans, here we go. 12 rounds of boxing for the WBA North American Heavyweight Championship. Introducing to you first the challenger on my right, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white trunks with black trim and hailing from Chicago, Illinois. He weighed in at 212 pounds with a fine record of 21 wins, only 1 defeat. He has 16 wins coming by way of knockout. Please welcome tonight's challenger, introducing Mario Cawley. And his opponent across the ring, presenting the defending champion on my left, fighting out of the red corner, wearing black trunks, born in Sabana Grande, Puerto Rico, now fighting out of Chelsea, Massachusetts. He weighed in at 234 pounds with a record of 33 wins, 3 losses. He has 24 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the WBC #1 ranked heavyweight contender and the current WBA North American heavyweight champion, introducing the quiet man, Johnny Ruiz. Once again, a referee in charge, Jim Santa, now to give instructions, 12 rounds of boxing.
Good evening, gentlemen. We've discussed all the rules in the dressing room. Let's touch gloves and have a good, clean fight. Come on, guys. Touch gloves. Come on, Marion. Let's go.
Cawley was accused of quitting by his own manager in his last fight 14 months ago. Presumably that's why he is here tonight, to help fatten a prospect's record.
Cawley said that he was in severe depression for a period of time after the quick knockout loss to Lawrence Claybay 14 months ago. It happened in the second round, and some ringside observers didn't feel as though Claybay had landed a punch. That's one of the reasons that manager Lee Holliday cut Cawley off and suggested he might look elsewhere for something to do. Now they're back together as John Ruiz, trying to position himself for a title shot down the road against the winner of Holyfield Lewis, tries to add to his credentials here. Ruiz in the black trunks, Cawley in the white.
Ruiz automatically establishing, hey, I'm the top fighter here tonight. Cawley is pretty much trying to survive the first round, but Ruiz is going right to the body with a hard jab.
Break. Stop. Wait, stop. Step back. Stay there.
Both fighters seem to be more interested in getting a knockout.
Come on. Box fellas, come on, Mary. Move those hands. Let's go. Let go. Clear arm out. Clear arm out. Break. Stay there. It's the last warning. Let's go.
So already, referee Jim Santa says to Mario Cawley, that's the last warning for holding. The inference being that he'll penalize him from this point forward.
Step back. Don't push on the break. Let's go.
And if this fight is to be a pushing and shoving match, those extra pounds by Ruiz could make a big difference.
Let go. Let's go.
Gets you real tired pushing these big guys off.
No punches. Step back. Come on, fellas. Let's box.
Again, Ruiz at 234, Cawley at 212. And so far, it is a shoving match.
No round punch. Let's go. Step back. Stay there. Come on, guys. Mary, no hold. Let's go. That's it, fellas.
When we first saw Ruiz, he was more of a boxer than a puncher. He's muscled up, added a lot of weight.
Break! No punches. Stop!
Trying to look more like a serious heavyweight contender.
You know, he did something real good this time. He was able to land about 2 or 3 good stiff jabs. Then he turned that jab into a hook that hurts Cawley.
Let's go, Johnny. Let go. Let's go. Put your hands. Put your hands. Break! Don't hit behind the head. Let's go.
Busy first round for referee Jim Santa. Ruiz and Cawley not spending much time at this distance.
That's it. Good job, guys. That's it.
Ruiz trying to double up on the jab there after spending most of the round throwing one punch at a time.
Let's go, fellas. 2 seconds, guys. Stop!
You're doing great, man. You're doing great, Mario.
Put it right between his legs.
Where's my bottle? The jab is a mobile. Cool, man. Where's my bottle? You got the mouthpiece?
I'll take care of the mouthpiece.
I need some Vaseline. stop falling, you're falling in with the jab. Crack it, crack it, crack it. Step over and throw right here and left hook. You understand? Crack the jab, bang, bang.
No falling.
You're falling in one. That's easy. You don't let him hold you. Don't fall in. I want to see that jab. Crack, crack.
Here are the mandatory challenges by the different sanctioning bodies. David Tua earned it in the IBF. He had knocked out John Ruiz. We don't know how he got there. And nor do we know how Henry Akinwande got there. He put on such an inept challenge of Lennox Lewis 2 years ago. He has another mandatory somehow.
And since the governing body which ranks Akinwande #1 is next in the rotation, ostensibly the winner of Holyfield Lewis will be mandated to fight Henry Akinwande. If it's Lewis, it'll be fascinating to see if he elects to take the bout.
Let go, guys. Let go. Let go.
Paulie is starting to stand his ground a little bit and use his left jab. He's not backing off and trying to hold as much.
Well, the question coming into the fight has to do with Paulie's desire. Does he look to you like a willing fighter tonight, George?
Yeah, he's been hit with a few hard shots. They didn't make him deter much at all. That hurt. That's a hard shot.
And Paulie attempts to tackle Ruiz. Santa says professional.
Be professional, he's telling him. Don't tackle him, punch him.
Well, he got hurt, and sometimes you don't know how to react. He's on time. He doesn't intend to quit tonight, so he's going to hang in there.
Now he's taking some thunder from Ruiz as we get into the middle minute of round number 2. Ruiz starting to be able to put punches together, landing left-right combinations, and Paulie covering up to try to ward off the damage. Body shots by Ruiz, well chosen there.
Yeah, you got to get in your body shots to get a knockout. And I think if Ruiz can just get in a 1-2-3 on the head, somewhere around the chin, he can get a knockout.
Lead left hook seemed to bother Paulie. There's a growing mouse under Cauley's right eye.
Come on, God, pick it up. No punches, no punches. Step back. Let's go. Step back. Come on, Mary. Step back. Step back. Let's go.
Ruiz, reared as a fighter in the Boston area, but originally from Sabana Grande, Puerto Rico. We're told that he's the highest ranking heavyweight ever of Puerto Rican heritage.
Let go, let go, let go. Don't hit him. Watch your rabbit punches, guys. Watch your rabbit punches.
Best punch tonight has been that left hook. Once he throws a few jabs in front of it.
No hold, let's go.
Although, George, you've once fought a Puerto Rican challenger, King Roman, right?
Oh, yeah, sure did, in Japan. He wasn't highly ranked, though, maybe number 10.
Hard right hand lands for Ruiz. Paulie covering up again. Paulie almost lost his mouthpiece on the right cross. Uppercut was partially blocked. Paulie in a defensive mode through most of the second round as Ruiz tries to tee off with power shots. And down goes Paulie on the left hook.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, come on. Ready corner. Keep an eye on him.
Stop fighting, man. You're letting them tee off on you. All you gotta do is fight back. Throw your jab and fight back. You gotta fight back. You gotta throw your jab and fight back. You can't quit.
Don't wait on him, Rio. You gotta be first, baby.
You got to
That's
work
the
this,
only
Mario.
thing.
The victory is yours. It's proclaimed to you. You heard it, Mario. You understand?
Rio, you gotta be first. You can't wait on him.
Open your mouth. Open your mouth.
Don't let him beat you to the punch. You got him, baby.
It looked like Mario Cauley was waiting to get punched and knocked down, and uppercut did it. Every time he had been touched with anything, he looked like he was ready to buckle. He's simply not in this class. To call him an opponent is to give him the best of it.
The left hook started the knockdown. The uppercut was icing on the cake, and I believe that as referee Jim Santa stood over him and counted, Cauley looked up and asked him, "What are you doing?"
That's one thing about getting hit so hard that you don't know where you are.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, you can't question Cawley's resolution this time. He gets up.
Hey, want to fight? Let's go. Come on, come to me, come to me, come to me, come to me.
From a power combination, but it's getting a little easier for Ruiz.
Like I said, sometimes you can get so hard that you're out of your mind. You'll believe anything that your corner is telling you. And that's where Crawley is right now.
You mean if they tell him he can fight, he'll believe them?
Oh, yeah. He'll believe it. Tell him you're winning the fight. Go and get him. He'll believe it. That's a good thing. Once you get caught like that, you have no more fear. You don't have any more fear at all.
You mean you've lost your mind? Is that what you're saying,
That's
George?
right. When you lose your mind, sometimes you can get a good fight out of you.
Cawley sort of toying with the idea of mounting an offense, then cringing a little bit to get under Ruiz's punches as he comes in.
He has this belief this guy was knocked cold once. Just wind up and hit him one good one, you may do it again. So Crawley may be waiting for one punch, but he better get started.
Might not have much time left to throw it. Ruiz missing wildly with the uppercut. By CompuBox numbers, Cawley has landed 2 punches in the last 4 minutes and change, and he's starting to lean backwards. It's awfully hard to land punches when you lean backward, particularly if you're the smaller man.
His mind, his body's in the ring, Jim, but his mind is back in the dressing room already.
Watch the hitting and the holding. Both guys. Both guys. Let's go. No punches. Step back. Mario, step back. Step back. Let's go. All right?
Referee's going to have the hard job. This guy is having to hold because he's been hit so hard.
No punches.
Yet the referee is going to start getting on his back sooner or later.
Don't leave with your head. Let's go.
He's only doing what he's got to do it.
What he's got to do to survive, right? Oh, that'll do it.
1, 2, 3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come to me. Come to me. All right?
And Santa elects to allow it to continue.
Keep him up. Let go. No.
He's really trying to prove to his manager that he has heart. And I think maybe he hasn't that much ability, but he's got heart.
Well, I think he ought to have proven to his manager now that he's a different man than the guy who stayed on the canvas against Lawrence Claybay.
Just take a look. Talk to him, all right? Talk to him.
Mario, how you doing? You feeling all right? You tired? Listen to me. How you doing? Talk to me. You gotta talk to me. You don't talk. I'll stop it right now. How you feeling?
Tell him.
You all right?
To the doctor.
You want to go on? You tell me.
Yeah, man.
You sure? You all right? No headaches, nothing? All right, well, let's go do it now. Defend yourself. Let's go. Well, let him defend himself.
He said he's going to beat him.
Get hit a couple more shots.
Knockdown action. Once again, a left on the top of the head, followed by a right uppercut. Nice punches from Ruiz against an opponent designed to be punched.
Check us out. Let's go.
I'm not sure that Cawley would qualify as a good sparring
Get
partner
that stool out.
for Ruiz.
Let's go.
Well, the doctor gave Cawley every chance to check out. And Mario elected to keep going. Harold, very quickly, to the degree that a score matters.
30-24, 3 rounds to nothing. A 10-8 round in the second, a 10-7 round in the third for the knockouts, Jim.
Here's a fight where the fight is courageous. It's time for his corner to step up, or the referee now to take a serious look at the fight.
Good
He's
point,
brave.
George. Who's going to take the responsibility here? Somebody has to.
Someone has to.
He's in a position where he has to prove his bravery and his manhood after what happened the last time out. He's proven the point.
If only he would throw just one right hand. The guy runs right into his right hand. His left hand, Ruiz, left hand is down. Just throw it out there without any power on it. You can hit him.
Yeah, not only is the left hand down, but he bobs it up and down in a predictable rhythm. Cawley ought to be able to time that right hand, but that's the last thing on his mind. That's enough. Jim Santa takes responsibility for calling a halt to the carnage, and John Ruiz has another knockout for his record.
One of these days, perhaps, we'll see Ruiz in with a fighter again who will fight him back.
'34th win, 25th KO for John Ruiz, as we mentioned, ranked #1 by one governing body and #2 by another, as he finds himself in position to angle for a title shot despite the embarrassment of his 19-second first-round KO at the hands of David Tua 3 years ago.
Here is a knockdown waiting to happen. It happens. George, you see championship potential in John Ruiz?
I think that if they really bring him along like they're doing, match him with the right fighters, he can have the confidence if nothing else. Did I get out of that?
Very nice, George. Brilliantly done. He's 27 years old. You see championship potential in John Ruiz, George? Oh, never mind.
Too philosophical, huh?
Got it.
Now let's go up to Jimmy Lennon Jr. for the official particulars on this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the time of 1 minute 9 seconds of round number 4. Our referee in charge, Jim Santa, stops the contest. The winner by way of technical knockout, and still the WBA North American Heavyweight Champion, the Quiet Man, Johnny Ruiz.
So the first heavyweight bout of the evening produces 4 knockdowns of Mario Cawley by John Ruiz. Let's go back up to our host, James Brown.
All right, so Johnny Ruiz improves his mark to 34-3. Mario Cawley waiting for that big shot that never came. And folks, he absorbed an awful lot of leather. Upcoming still is the main event this evening. That will be the first unification bout that's taken place since 1987. That when Mike Tyson took on Tony Tucker. And there is Evander Holyfield. He arrived here about 45 minutes ago. Very calm and relaxed. He has already proclaimed several times over the past 2 weeks that he will take the title and be the first unified heavyweight champion. Lennox Lewis has not arrived at the arena. And talking with Roy Jones Jr., he said, don't read anything into that, because Roy said that he doesn't like to get here any more than an hour before. Still upcoming on tonight's card, you will see the likes of James Page taking on Sam Garr, that in a welterweight bout. And Fernando Vargas, a hard-hitting junior middleweight youngster, taking on Howard Clark. That will be coming up next, as I am joined once again now by Roy Jones. Now, we talked a little bit about Lennox Lewis at the top. We didn't talk enough about Evander Holyfield. Again, has he been in one war too many in your estimation, especially when folks point to his lackluster bout against Vaughn Beam?
No, I don't think that's the case, James. I think Evander performs to the potential of his opponent. His opponent to the caliber of his opponent. If his opponent is a good fighter, a superior boxer, a guy with good speed, a guy that you look for as a challenge, I think Evander performs like a real champion. If the guy is not all of that, as we say, then I don't think Evander's all of that either. So I think anytime you put a great challenge in front of Evander, Evander steps up to the plate. I don't think he's been in too many wars, because it seems as though he takes good care of himself. He's in the church. He looked excellent in both fights against Mike Tyson. And when you look at the last fight he had, Vaughn Beam, who knew Vaughn Beam? Why would Evander Holyfield get up to fight a Vaughn Beam? Vaughn looked good. To his credit, Evander, he looked okay, because we expect more out of Evander. But you have to look at what he had in front of him.
Now, while Evander has been uncharacteristically bold in talking about taking out Lennox Lewis in the 3rd round, is he overconfident?
No, I don't think he's the least bit overconfident. The thing I think is that sometimes when guys are going to fight, the fight starts as soon as you make contact with the guy, as soon as you make eye contact with the guy. I think Evander may have a strategy, or he may have seen a weakness, or it could be the suspicious chin of Lennox Lewis that's giving Evander this reason to think he can knock him out in 3 rounds. So I don't think it has nothing to do with overconfident. I think there's something that Evander has seen, it could be even in his fighting style, that makes him think strongly that he can knock Lennox out in 3 rounds.
All right, Roy Jones talks about the suspect chin of Lennox Lewis. We'll talk about that a bit more as the night progresses. Right now, let's take a look at Fernando Vargas's fight against Howard Clark. Fernando Vargas, a very impressive youngster with his junior middleweight title on the line tonight. 15-0, and folks, he won his title that against Yoribor Campus, a veteran. Tonight, he takes on Howard Clark, as called earlier by Jim Lampley.
Tail of the tape now for Fernando Vargas against Howard Clark. 10-year age advantage for Vargas, 1-inch height advantage. Clark doesn't often have to make weight fighting club fights back in England, but he had to this time. And a 2-inch reach advantage for Vargas as well. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Fernando Vargas Howard Clark fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the Unified Rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
All right, Harold, and now let's go up to ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr. to get it started.
Well, fans, this World Championship attraction coming your way once again, brought to you by Don King Productions in association with Panics of the U.S. Main Events, Madison Square Garden, TVKO, and the undefeated, undisputed king of beers, Budweiser. This Bud's for you. This bout is sanctioned by the International Boxing Federation, the president, Robert Lee, senior supervisor, Darrell Peoples, along with the New York State Athletic Commission. Introducing to you our judges scoring this bout from ringside. From New Jersey, Larry Hazard Jr. From New Hampshire, William James. And from New York, Ron McNair. With our referee in charge of this bout, he'll be giving instructions after the introductions, Wayne Kelly. All right, fans, here we go. 12 rounds of boxing for the IBF Junior Middleweight Championship of the World. Introducing to you first the challenger. On my right, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing red, white, and blue Union Jack trunks, born in London, now fighting out of Worley, England. He weighed in at the junior middleweight limit of 154 pounds with a record of 26 wins, 10 losses, and 2 draws. He has 8 wins coming by way of knockout, ranked the IBF number 13 junior middleweight contender. Please welcome the challenger, introducing Howard Clark. And his opponent across the ring on my left, the defending champion, fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue trunks with white trim, proudly representing his hometown of Oxnard, California. He weighed in the same as his opponent, 154 pounds. He is undefeated in his campaign to the ring with a perfect record of 15 wins, no losses, all 15 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the youngest boxer ever to hold the junior middleweight title tonight, making the first defense of his crown, introducing the IBF Junior Middleweight Champion of the World, the undefeated, ferocious Fernando Vargas. Once again, a referee in charge, Wayne Kelly, now to give instructions, 12 rounds of boxing.
All right, gentlemen, we're boxing for the IBF Championship of the World. I expect a clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Shake hands, come out boxing at the bell. Good luck.
Wait. But his trunks.
All right. That's all right, Lou. That's all right. All right, seconds out. Let's go, seconds out, Lou.
Through the miracle of peroxide, this bout could be titled Blonde on Blonde. Vargas likes to start out behind the jab and then bring his sensational power punches behind it. The right cross is good. The left hook is out of sight.
I think that Vargas was already had his opponent kind of intimidated. But once you meet a guy in the middle of the round ring and start staring him in the eye, you bring out something he didn't intend to bring out. So sometimes it's best not to challenge him too much until the bell rings.
George, one of the things I most admire about young Vargas is his patience, and You know, it may be odd to say that a guy with 10 knockouts in the first and second rounds is patient, but he takes his time to set up the power.
He's got an excellent left jab and keeps his feet balanced.
Clark snaps a pretty good jab there.
Clark has already opened up and showed him he had a little power in that left hook he threw a little earlier. Now he connects with a jab. Vargas goes to the chest with that jab, which is my favorite punch.
Why, George?
Because you take a lot of power out of your opponent, especially if he has a reputation of being a puncher. Jab him in the chest. That's the one place sit-ups, they just don't work. Nothing works there. You just got to have, it'll suck your power.
Vargas starting to work left hooks to the body to try to bring Clark's guard down. Right. Howard Clark's trainer and his friends and confidants insisted to us yesterday, despite the iffy record, this guy has some talent as a fighter.
That's an excellent defense. Whenever he's overpowered, he sets his hands right near his ears, tucks his chin to his chest. Hard to get in a good shot.
Vargas feinting with the right hand, now sets back up. Left hook lead, glances off the top of Clark's head, and Clark lands a jab in return.
And when you're fighting a confident fighter, you want to make sure you land a lot of jabs. The only thing that makes them stop and think a little bit.
Left hook lands for Clark as Vargas was hunting for an opportunity to get inside.
And that's the second of the left hook. But I think Clark is making a mistake. He continuously goes back and back into the ropes.
Now he backs into the ropes, and Vargas attacks Clark to the body. The left hook to the rib cage hurt it. Clark fights back with a left hook again.
Once you back into the ropes, you're almost inviting your opponent to come and get me. You want to stay in the middle of the ring.
Where's the stool? Where's the stool?
Sit down now. Okay, how do you feel? Okay. Howard, just a bit more work out with that jab. Okay, and a bit more kidding on. Kid him on a bit, kid him on a bit more, kid him on a bit more, Howard. Kid him on more. Get that jab downstairs, kid him on more. Hit him downstairs with the jab, kid him on. Get it to the end.
Be smart. Be smart. Use your left hand. This guy's gonna drop. Be smart. You can beat this guy. You're a lot smarter than he is, and you can work a lot better. This guy's gonna drop at any time. Just be careful. Just calm.
Usa la izquierda, controla con él.
Mucho con tu izquierda. Tu izquierda es un arma muy buena.
Good job, keep it fast. More work, more work, more work.
Let's go, seconds out.
Vargas is making his debut in Madison Square Garden and might be a little bit on edge, trying to make a good impression. Nowadays, there are so many championships. When a young man wins one, it becomes a platform for him to try to build a following and a reputation, and that's exactly what he's trying to do here.
Howard Clark still showing an active energy level as we move through the first minute of round number 2. Vargas setting his feet flat on the canvas and looking for opportunities to land power punches as he did throughout the first round. CompuBox numbers showing he landed 22 of 39 power punches in the first round, most of them to the body.
And I think he just landed a good right hand that may change the course of the whole fight when he hit Clark on the side of the right side of the jaw there.
Uppercut lands inside for Vargas. Right hand to the chin, backs Clark up. Clark fires the left hook. Wayne Kelly roins Vargas to keep his body punches up.
One thing in the ring, you can't fight a guy because he hits you low. You got to fight him anyway.
You can't watch Wayne Kelly warn somebody for low blows without thinking of the first Riddick-Bowe Andrew Galata fight here in Madison Square Garden, July 11, 1996. Kelly was the man who eventually had to disqualify Galata. Uppercut with the right hand just missed short for Vargas. Could have sent Clark to the roof.
Evidently, Vargas does not come back with his left hook. He'll throw a good right hand, and he doesn't finish. You always want to finish your punch. 1, 2, get yourself back into position with your left hook.
Now he brought the left hook, but he waited a beat before doing it. He was late.
And that's why his opponent is able to get his left hook in. You throw your right hand, you're off balance. You got to straighten back up, and you want to do it with your hook. See?
There again. Left, right. Finally throws the left hook, but again waited a beat before doing it.
Yeah. That's the first basics you want to teach your fighters. Get back in position. There's that left hook.
Yep. Best punch for Clark. Quite obviously, the left hook, he's landed a half dozen of them well in the first couple of rounds. Vargas with the big jab there.
Well, a fighter like Vargas, you want to make him jab and box and do those kind of things. Just make him think, I don't have to use power right now. Woo, but good right hand.
Lightning right cross and a left uppercut inside, and Vargas whipping Clark with power punches as round 2 comes to a close, but there's a trickle of blood from the nose of young Fernando Vargas.
You have the best left hand. Don't be concentrating so much in the knockout. He's going to come when you least expect it. Don't look for him. He's going to come to you. Take it easy. Keep using that left hand the same way you're using it. And come inside. Work inside.
Lovely straight punches, Howard, but you got to keep doing it a few more. Okay. Feel good? Okay.
There was a comment.
Seconds out.
It's been a left hook night.
Round 3 of Fernando Vargas against Howard Clark. Vargas's first defense of the 154-pound world championship he took from Yuri Boy Campos in December.
I think Clark has done an excellent job. He came out, made Vargas go down, jab to the body. That's what you want a puncher to do. You want to make a puncher box me all night. Don't get him upset and make him start punching.
Certainly Clark thus far has been better than his record would have led me to believe.
He's actually jabbing to the pit of the stomach now. When you do that to a puncher, he starts waiting around and looking for his power, and it's no longer there.
Clark gets cheers from the English fans in the audience as he pumps a double left jab into the face of Vargas. Might have heard Vargas's trainer Roger Bloodworth saying, don't go looking for a knockout. It'll come when you least expect it. And again, Clark pumping the left hand into Vargas's face to stem the tide of Vargas's attack.
Yeah, you see, you jabbed him 2, double jab him, then the punchers start thinking, I'm going to show you I can do that too. And before you know it, the rounds have gone by and he's paying you back.
And you're in a boxing match instead of a war.
That's what you want to be in a boxing match with a puncher.
Vargas is learning a very good lesson here, guys, which is that when you become a champion, every guy you face is going to be better than you thought he was as he challenges you.
A lot of that had to do with him coming out staring this guy down. Make him move up a notch. Punch him down, don't stare him down.
I actually thought Clark won the stare down because Vargas looked down at one point. Clark was staying right there. Good combination by Clark inside as Vargas pounds away again with the left hook to the body.
I think Vargas should just stay right on his power punches. Just keep putting that power to this guy. No one can resist that kind of power. Make Clark protect himself every minute of every round.
Vargas gets away with a low blow right in front of Kelly. Clark coming back again with a left hook, which has been his most effective punch. And now Vargas looks a little uncertain, George, whether he wants to box or punch.
Yeah, it's what the guy got him off, and he jabbed him earlier on in the pit of his stomach. He's taking some
there
of
was
his
a little
power.
left hook to the corner of Vargas's eye that may have caused an abrasion, a slight spot of blood. I'm not sure.
Vargas extend his left jab, keep his balance, pursue the knockout.
Right hand thunder and the left hook landing inside for Vargas.
Whoa.
As round 3 of Vargas Clark comes to a close. It's scheduled for 12.
The tape over here. Take care.
Any more time with it?
Howard.
Gonna walk it out. Do breathe. And Bill. Do breathe. Howard, if you want to lose on points, you can do it like that. But if you want to try and win this all.
This guy's ready to go. He opened himself. He's ready to go. He's ready to go.
Come on. His trunks are high. I know.
Keep talking. Pablo, go. Talk. Go ahead.
You almost had him. You almost had him. This round, next round, it's a bit different. Tie him up a little bit, tie him up, and just get inside and use your speed.
You heard Pat Cowdell say a really interesting thing in the corner to Clark. He says, if you want to lose on points, do what you're doing. Make it look nice, but submit to this guy. He wants Clark to go out there and impose himself more and fight like a winner, not like just somebody who's competing.
Well, let's see who Harold Letterman thinks is the winner so far.
Okay, Jim, I got a 3-0 Fernando Vargas, 30-27, each round 10-9, no question. What I like about Fernando Vargas is after he lands that hook, he takes that step to the right, he's turning the guy beautifully, and that's gorgeous ring generalship. You got to give him credit for it. Gets in a good punch, steps to the right so he's not in front of his opponent.
You can see Clark trying to be a little bit more aggressive.
And Vargas is not stepping to the right after that punch, Harold. He's getting caught with too many left hooks because he's standing there after he throws the right hand.
Waiting for a receipt.
Yeah.
Admiring his work, as they say.
He steps around occasionally as a boxing move, but not after his power shots.
And there's a good example. Vargas landed the left hook, then stood in front of Clark and waited for something to come back. But it appears that increasingly, though Clark is still energetic and willing, Vargas is imposing his power on him in such a way that Clark takes fewer and fewer risks.
That Vargas is powerful.
And now Clark elects to go down to one knee after a couple of thunderous left hook shots.
7, 8. Feel all right, man?
And they were all in the right spot, down by the body.
Vargas comes right back to the body with the left hook, and boom. A good one to the chin.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, man.
Following the instructions of his manager and trainer, Clark has been more aggressive, and he's walked into 3 knockdown punches.
2, 3.
And the no 3 knockdown rule. Pat Cowdell looking at his fighter and coming up to the top step, but not coming into the ring. Clark looked at Pat Cowdell as if to say, do you want me to go on? Cowdell backed up as if to say, yeah, I want you to go on. And Vargas gets a chance to throw more left hooks and right crosses, and that ought to be enough. And it is.
Stay right where you are. Stay right where you are.
So everybody came to the same conclusion at once as both Wayne Kelly and Pat Cowdell converged on Clark with arms waving as if to say, all right, we've seen plenty. 16 out of 16 knockouts for Fernando Vargas.
That was a good fight. This guy imposed his power on his opponent and kept to the power punches, and it paid off. Don't boxer. Forget all that stepping to the side.
Another step for Fernando Vargas, who closed the show by landing 34 of 57 power punches by CompuBox numbers in round 4. First knockdown, Larry.
Straight punches, left hooks to the headed to the body, just too much for Clark, just caved him in. Vargas has been hoping for a fight against Ike Corte, wanting Corte to move up to 154. Corte would be by far his toughest opponent, even at that weight.
Does he have the polish to go against a guy like Corte, George?
I do believe so. If he sticks with that kind of power, I think he'll give him an excellent fight.
And here's one more. 4 knockdowns in this round. Obviously no 3 knockdown rule, but it was over after the first knockdown. The rest was a formality, giving Vargas a chance to show his many-dimensional skills.
And now let's go up to ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr. for the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the time of 2 minutes 29 seconds of round number 4. Our referee in charge, Wayne Kelly, stops the contest. The winner by way of technical knockout, still undefeated, and still the IBF Junior Middleweight Champion of the World, Ferocious, Fernando Vargas.
And undefeated he is at 16-0, 16 knockouts now. Fernando Vargas indicated that he was dedicating this fight to his grandmother, deceased about a week ago, and that as a 21-year-old, his game plan is to be undefeated, but he wants to retire by age 26 or 27. All right, folks, the main event coming up later tonight, and the combatants are here. Evander Holyfield arriving more than an hour ago. Very confident look as he emerged from the limo. Has his game face on, but he has been quietly confident. Keep in mind that he is familiar with this arena, Madison Square Garden. This will be his 3rd fight here. Lennox Lewis arrived at 9:31 p.m. He also is familiar with Madison Square Garden. Fought on the undercard of Evander Holyfield and Bobby Chaz, that back in '96. Coming up next, it'll be James Page taking on Sam Garr in a welterweight bout. Garr looking to go after the title that James Page has, and Page is a very impressive looking youngster. And once again, I'm joined by Roy Jones Jr. And Roy, there's been so much talk about Lennox Lewis having that powerful overhand right, but you mentioned in our last conversation that he has a suspect chin. Why do you say suspect?
Well, I didn't say necessarily that he has a suspect chin. I said skeptics say he has a suspect chin. People think he has a suspect chin because he got knocked out by Oliver McCall. Oliver McCall was not known for knocking many people out. In fact, he wasn't really known for beating a lot of people. So anytime you get knocked out by a guy who people don't expect or don't see as a knockout puncher, your chin becomes suspect.
Irrespective of the fact that Oliver McCall is what we call country strong. I mean, he's got a very powerful right, Roy.
Yeah, he is powerful, but inside the ring, they measure your knockout power by how many opponents you knock out as opposed to how many go distance. And he just wasn't one of the guys that we see as an accurate, correct type puncher who should have knocked out Lennox Lewis.
All right, we'll continue to try and dissect Lennox Lewis as well as Evander Holyfield as the evening continues on. And folks, as we mentioned earlier, tonight is more than just the best facing the best. Tonight is about unifying the 3 heavyweight titles again and crowning the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. There's no question about it. It has been a very convoluted roller coaster ride, tracking the path of belts since they splintered some 6 years ago. But guess what? We've attempted to make sense of its scrambled history anyway. Back in the days of John L. Sullivan and Jack Johnson, Jack Dempsey, Joe Louis, Marciano, Ali, or even Mike Tyson, the undisputed heavyweight champion was the king of the world, the man who beat the man who beat the man. And with that lofty title came a defining symbol of power, the heavyweight championship belt. But in recent years, that has all changed.
The worst thing that ever happened to the heavyweight division, or indeed to boxing, was when there became more than one world champion. Because that's an oxymoron. You can't have 2 world champions. There's only one world. What can you believe in anymore if there's not one heavyweight champion?
From 1980 through 1987, there were no less than 10 heavyweight champions. Men like Coetzee, Weaver, Tate, Dokes, Thomas, Page, Witherspoon, Tubbs, Smith, and Burbick, all of whom held pieces of the crown. Most importantly, the last time the heavyweight belt was unified was 1987, when Mike Tyson faced Tony Tucker.
Iron Mike Tyson.
Uncharacteristically, the unified title remained intact for 5 years with 3 different champions. Until a bizarre incident set the merry-go-round in motion again.
Riddick Bowe then defeated Evander Holyfield for the Unified Championship. The next week, if you recall, Riddick Bowe did not want to be mandated to fight Lennox Lewis, and so he took the WBC portion of his title and he threw it into the trash can.
For the WBC crown, Bowe's trashing of the belt was the beginning of a long and somewhat comical journey that has become increasingly difficult to follow.
Lennox Lewis kept the belt up until Oliver McCall.
Down goes Lewis.
Then Frank Bruno beat Oliver McCall.
Then Tyson come and take it from Bruno. So Tyson had the WBC belt.
Tyson was eventually stripped of his WBC title, after which Lennox Lewis regained the belt by beating an obviously troubled Oliver McCall. Now, if you think that was confusing, try and follow the course of IBF and WBA titles, the 2 belts Bowe still held.
So when I fought Bowe again, so I captured 2 of them belts back.
Hey, these guys want to fight.
Evander Holyfield lost 2 belts to Michael Moore. Michael Moore lost 2 belts to George Foreman. George Foreman was stripped of 2 belts at separate times.
Now, get out your pencils and paper. Michael Moore defeated Axel Schultz for the IBF title. As for the WBA title, well, Bruce Seldon acquired that by beating Tucker, but lost it to Mike Tyson.
So Tyson had the WBA. So I whooped Tyson, I get the WBA, and I beat Michael Moore. Now that's how I came to WBA and the IBF champion. Now, finally at last, we get a chance to put the puzzle back together. The puzzle get a chance to be complete.
And that's the beauty of Lewis Holyfield. When it's over, no one's going to argue anymore.
Amen. It's been 6 long years since we've had a unified champion. After tonight, we can once again say the heavyweight champion of the world. The man who beat the man who beat the man who beat, well, you get the idea. And yes, both champions are putting an awful lot on the line. That is the belt of Lennox Lewis. He is putting his championship belt on the line tonight in an effort to try and get these 2 belts. They belong, of course, to Evander Holyfield, the unification bout between these 2. Now, keep in mind that George Foreman never had his belts stripped from him, never was beaten for his belt, so keep that in mind. And Big George can certainly lay claim to that, Roy. And Roy, now I talked to you a little bit earlier about Evander Holyfield and whether or not he has fought one too many wars. You said no indeed, but folks talk about how you can get old very quickly in the ring. Have there been any signs that that could happen to Evander Holyfield tonight?
So far, there hasn't been any signs that his age will show up on him tonight. I think Evander's a guy who takes very good care of himself. I don't think he drinks. I don't think he ever smokes. I think he's a clean liver. When you have a guy who lives clean, it's very rare that age will just show up on him all of a sudden. If something happens to him tonight, it won't be because of his age. It'll be because of his opponent.
Okay, and his opponent, of course, is a very tough one indeed with a serious overhand right. As a matter of fact, he is standing by now with our own Nick Charles, who joins us for tonight's broadcast. Nick?
And WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis, loosening up here on the training table with Emmanuel Stewart, his trainer. How does it feel, Lennox, with 7,000 British fans out there? How does that fortify you tonight here at the Garden?
It's definitely an added bonus. It's going to give me more inspiration as I step into the ring and more strength.
American audiences, on the other hand, have been slow to give you the respect you feel you've been due. Will that cause you perhaps to maybe press to prove them wrong?
Well, I'm going to go out there and do what comes naturally and make sure that I win. I'm coming here for the win. I'm not coming here to lose.
What comes naturally in this fight?
Just go out there and do what I've been taught and that I've been working for the last 10 years.
Emmanuel, is it crucial that Lennox is the most aggressive he's been?
Well, I think he's got to fight a very laid-out plan fight, and he's got to stick to his jab. And he's got 2 or 3 different routes that he can go in case the fight changes its course of direction.
You wanted a big ring, 22 feet. We measured it 18 feet. How does that hurt you?
It doesn't really hurt me. You know, I can box in any ring.
I would think that Evander would want to get in close and make this a steel cage match, perhaps. How do you feel about it, Emmanuel?
Well, it depends on how the fight goes. But, I feel Lennox is a strong, powerful man, so he can handle himself in any situation.
The third round prediction again. Did it humiliate you? Does it make you want to punish Evander Holyfield tonight?
The third round doesn't really bother me. He can say what he wants, but he has a lot to live up to.
Final thing, Lennox, you said that you've envisioned this fight. You woke up in the middle of the night and choreographed it in your mind. Now take us through it. It's about to happen.
Yeah, I'll take you through it when I get in there.
No secrets, huh? No tips?
No tips.
Any prediction?
Lennox Lewis will be victorious.
Okay, that's the story from Lennox Lewis's locker room. Now back to you, JB.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. And that is the same Lennox Lewis that we have seen all week long. Very quiet, very soft-spoken, but indeed quiet confidence being displayed. All right, folks, following tonight's coverage of the Holyfield Lewis heavyweight unification bout, watch the post-fight press conference live on the internet with the Windows Media Player at www.holyfieldlewis.com. And at this time, TVKO would certainly like to thank all of our online partners. Coming up next on the undercard, an impressive welterweight will be on display who has the belt. His name, James Page, as he takes on Sam Garr in a welterweight championship bout. And for more on that, let's take you back downstairs once again ringside to Jim Lampley.
All right, thank you very much, James Brown. And the fighters are getting into the ring right at this moment. There's a look at one of the three welterweight champions, James Page. The other two better known welterweight titleists, of course, are Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad. Page took a title from Andre Pestraev last year after it had been stripped from Ike Quartey. There's his record, 23 wins, the most impressive one, the recent one, decision over Jose Luis Lopez, in which he came back from being knocked down. 18 KOs for Page, who's a well-balanced power puncher. And across the ring, relatively unlikely challenger. Good-looking record for Sam Garr, 25 wins, 2 losses, 23 KOs, all of them quick KOs, but he has fought in obscure circumstances against unknown opponents in the Atlanta area. Not a particular hotbed of professional boxing. A few fights in Richmond, Virginia, and Nashville, Tennessee, and other places like that. Basically a successful club fighter brought in to fight for a world title on this card. Tail of the tape, and you can see they are equal in height. Garr having to make the welterweight limit for the first time in 6 years, weighed in 3/4 of a pound under. Tonight, Page will weigh 1 pound more as they enter the ring. He also has an 1.5 inches in reach. Punch stat numbers, Larry.
Here's a look at a profile of the activity of the fighters. The numbers obviously favoring Page. They favor him even more when you consider the nature of both of their oppositions. Jab. Garr does like to jab, use the ring. Page uses a good jab to set up better hooks and crosses.
Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The James Page Sam Garr fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
And let's go to ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this World Championship attraction coming your way once again, brought to you courtesy of Don King Productions in association with Panics of the U.S. Main events, Madison Square Garden, TVKO, and the undefeated, undisputed king of beers, Budweiser. This Bud's for you. This bout is sanctioned by the World Boxing Association. The president, Gilberto Mendoza, supervisor at ringside, Jimmy Bin Sr., along with the New York State Athletic Commission. Introducing to you our judges scoring this bout from ringside. From New York, Don Ackerman. Also from New York, Luis Rivera. And from Venezuela, Gonzalo Riveras. Presenting to you at this time a referee in charge of this bout, working in this, his 80th World Championship bout, Steve Smoger. All right, fans, here we go. 12 rounds of boxing for the WBA Welterweight Championship of the World. Introducing to you first on my right is the challenger fighting out of the blue corner. He is wearing black trunks with white trim and hailing from Atlanta, Georgia. He weighed in at a trim and ready 146 1/4 pounds. His hard-hitting record stands at 25 wins, 2 losses, with 23 wins coming by way of knockout. He is ranked the WBA number 11 welterweight contender. Please welcome the challenger, introducing Sam Bam Bam Gar. And his opponent across the ring, the defending champion. On my left, fighting out of the red corner, wearing white trunks with gold trim. He hails from Pittsburgh, California. He weighed in at the welterweight limit of 147 pounds even, with a record of 23 wins, 3 losses. He has 18 wins coming by way of knockout. Tonight he is making the second defense of his title. Please welcome the WBA welterweight champion of the world, known as the Mighty Quinn, introducing James Page. Once again, a referee in charge, Steve Smoger, now to give instructions. 12 rounds of boxing schedule.
James. All right, gentlemen, you were given your instructions at the weigh-in. I want you to obey my commands at all times, respect the bell at all times, and above all, protect yourself at all times. Touch up, touch up, touch. Thank you.
James Page, also making his debut at the Garden, looking to make an impression, stamp himself as one of the welterweights who belong with the better-known welterweights, De La Hoya and Trinidad.
Somebody's going to make a lot of money in the welterweight division in the next few years, and Page wants his share of it. So it's Page in the white trunks and Sam Bam Bam Gar in the black trunks. About the best that can be said for Gar in terms of previous opposition is that he has sparred a good deal in the gym with Vernon Forrest. Vernon Forrest, a rising force. We may also see down the road with some of the bigger name fighters mentioned here.
Gar started the round with a left jab right to the belly. That's what you want to do. Establish, hey, I'm not afraid of you, I'm going to your body.
Gar saying to us yesterday, hey, I'm not overwhelmingly impressed with Page. Guys like Pestraev and Lopez stood in front of him and let him do damage. I won't do that. Right hand lands for Page as he wings that shot.
Page settles down to land one hard shot, and it seems that Gar moves out of the way before he gets set good.
Gar leaping forward with left hook leads. Page throws a right cross lead and lands it flush on the face of Gar.
One thing about jabbing a puncher, you don't want to overcommit yourself by going double, because it allows you to step into his web.
The good quick left hook there by Page stunned Gar.
You want to take one jab at a time.
Gar's left hook partially blocked by Page's right glove.
Gar's had one taste of the power of Page, and let me tell you, does not like it.
He's getting back on his heels a little bit after having felt that left hook shiver that Page gave him. Now there's a right cross that lands for Gar, and he leaps in to fire that left hook again.
You may notice Page blinking his eyes all the time. It's not necessarily because he gets hit. It's a nervous tick. It used to be called Blinky by his friends.
And it threw Page off a little, Gar off a little bit because he thought he was hurt by blinking, and he stepped in too soon and caught some of that power.
I wonder if other Page opponents have had the same experience. Page opened a lot of eyes with his performance against Jose Luis Lopez, who up to that moment was regarded by many as the potential equal of the Cuartes, De La Hoyas, and Trinidad.
Not a bad round for Sam Gar, who has campaigned primarily as a junior middleweight and seems comfortable at welterweight.
Spit bucket right there. Spit that out.
Gotta go down.
You're trying too hard to knock him out. You're trying too hard to knock him out. So
just a short time ago,
look for that right hand. You know how,
instructions in Evander Holyfield's dressing room.
Good evening, Evander. As you know, I'm the referee, Arthur Mercanti Jr. Don, I'm going to make it short and sweet. You've been here before. It's your show. It's not mine. I just expect a good, clean fight. Just listen to my commands, and we'll have a great show. Any questions? No questions from you, Don. Any questions from you, champ? Lots of luck. God bless. Lots of luck.
The visible continuum of boxing in New York State. Arthur Mercanti Jr., the referee for the big fight tonight. 28 years, 5 days ago, it was his father who handled Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier.
Ooh, vicious right to the body by Page.
And a left hook upstairs. Gar trying to force himself to stay aggressive. He came out confidently and fought assertively during the first minute of round one. But since, as George pointed out, he's tasted Page's power, he's been a little bit more tentative.
When you're fighting a guy like Page, you got to jab him to the chest, go to the body, and step away at all times, keeping your defense up as he just did that time. Don't step too far away, you get caught by the wild hooks.
Gar lands a left hook, knocking Page off balance, and gets confident enough to fire another left hook.
You want to step back and not lean back, and that's what Gar is doing, leaning back just a little. You want to step your whole body backwards.
Now Gar starting to try combinations. Previously he was one punch at a time. Last couple of efforts have produced two-punch combinations. And there's another one, and he lands the right cross. And Page momentarily stunned by that.
Page seems to be looking for the knockout too quickly, George. He's throwing almost all hard punches, and as he wings these punches, he's leaving himself open, like right there.
I think it's one of those things that's all he knows how to do. So I would do something else if only I knew.
Gar starting to get just a tiny bit lazy with his jab. He needs to avoid that, or he's going to find a Page right hand sizzling over the top of it.
And he's doing a good job of using the ring. He steps and circles. Keep the circle going. You don't want to go backwards. It's a small ring.
There's the Page right cross, followed by a left hook, and it backs Gar up again.
Hey, no punch, no punch. Come on, come on. Protect yourself. Let him out, Sam. Let him out.
Body shots by James Page as round two comes to a close. Showcase for Page against little-known Sam Bam Bam Gar. Gar hoping to pull a huge upset and make a name for himself. Page in the white, Gar in the black.
Gar is starting to mix it up a little bit. I'll hit you. Once you hit me, I'm hitting you back. And those power punches in the body will not allow him to do that.
And earlier you heard the instructions from Arthur Mercanti Jr. in Evander Holyfield's dressing room. Here's what happened moments later in Lennox Lewis country.
I expect a nice, clean fight. When I say break, just listen to my commands. Now, Emmanuel, if something happens where he goes down and it's 2:59 and the bell rings, don't jump into the ring. Okay? Let me finish, let him get up and walk himself back to the corner. Any problem with that?
No.
Now, when you hear this bang, bang, that's a 5-second warning for me. I know you're aware of that. Some guys stop punching when they hear that, thinking it's the bell. Okay? Lots of luck, champ. Any questions?
I have one question. It's about Holyfield's strength and his cup.
Yes, sir.
Okay, he's won his cup exceptionally high.
I'll look at it when he comes into the ring. I will look at it.
Okay, we'll deal with
Okay? I know you're champions, and it's going to be a good, clean fight, and we're going to have a great night.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
Lots of luck again.
Now, George, why would Mercanti talk to Lewis about getting knocked down? We didn't hear him say anything about getting knocked down to Holyfield.
He's definitely not a chip off the old block tonight. I don't think his dad would have done one and not do the other.
And of course, keep in mind when you hear Emmanuel Stewart complaining in advance about a possibly high cup for Evander Holyfield, that Stewart trained Holyfield to his victory over Riddick Bowe in the second of their 3 fights and knows Evander very well. So he may know that if the referee says something to Holyfield about his cup, it could get into Evander's head.
But and then too, you go to the body. If that cup is all the way up to your ribs, the ref shouldn't be calling low blows. So that's a defense, and I think it was real wise of Emmanuel Stewart to mention that.
Planting the seed. Sam Garr had a pretty good second round according to PunchStat numbers, outlanding James Page 25 punches to 15 in round number 2. So let's see if Garr's confidence is growing now as we come back to round 3. Stepping in with the left hook. He's been able to do that all night. And he's been able to land that left hook behind Page's right glove.
Gar's doing fine as long as he keeps his feet moving. Once you start moving just the upper part of his body and not his feet, then he's going to have trouble.
That'll be ruled a slip. Referee Steve Smoker. And again, Garr beating Page to the punch with the left hook lead.
You know, once he throws a hard shot or two, Garr just stands there and assesses damage, and that's when he can get hurt himself.
Only for a period of time in the second round did he throw combinations. For the most part, it's 1 punch at a time, and you get the feeling he'd do a lot better if he could discipline himself to throw 3-punch combinations. There he came back with the left hook to the body, but opened himself up for the right hand by Page. Page, incidentally, like another welterweight champion named De La Hoya, is a natural southpaw. Brushes his teeth with the left hand, writes with the left hand. But when he first went to a boxing gym, felt more comfortable standing in the conventional stance, putting his stronger hand out front, and he's been that way ever since.
Can you believe this guy, Page, sitting in a jail cell, watching some of his guys that he knew he was competitive with, winning titles, and deciding, hey, I can do this, get out of jail, and he's champ of the world.
Thanks, Louis.
Put that water on the floor, please. Gotta reach across it.
That's the water guy.
Bucket out of the way. Like that. Easy.
Get that water out slow.
Sam, I want you to step in with the jab. If you're missing with the jab, go with a body shot. Keep punching. You understand? Keep punching. Don't let's go. Don't go wild. You throwing. You still going roundhouse. You still trying. You still going roundhouse. Get inside. Throw them punches inside. Come on. Use your jab. Come on, man. Come on.
Round 4, scheduled 12. Obscure challenger Sam Garr giving a pretty good account of himself so far against James Page. Harold Letterman, how'd you score through the first 3?
Jim, I got it 3 rounds to nothing, 30-27, James Page. Jim, this guy is a real big welterweight. And I'll tell you something, I haven't seen a fighter that punches so hard that when he misses, he does a 360 in a long time. I mean, that's how hard he's throwing his punches. It's incredible. But I tell you, he's got good, good offensive skills. He just stays on top of Garr all the time. Won't let him get off the hook. I think he's going to take it back one of these shots. I mean, just stays right on top.
I think it's 2 rounds to 1, but it is Page's fight to win. But this is a round building, and he's throwing too many roundhouse punches, according to his own trainer.
And I agree. He does well when he comes straight up the middle with sharp, straight punches. He gives Garr opportunities when he wings his shots from the outside.
Let him out, Sam. Let him out. That's good.
Now Gar beginning to tie Page up as Page advances. And given the number of short fights on Gar's resume, it'll be interesting to see if he's conditioned.
Oh, he might have wobbled Page with that right hand. Page's left foot lifted off the canvas when he hit him with that big right hand from outside. And now Page is holding on. I wonder if Gar understands that he may have Page hurt. Now when he blinks his eyes, you don't know if he's hurt, George.
That's right. But I've got this funny feeling about Page that once you hurt him, that's the kind of fight he wants to be in. The old saying with Joe Frazier, you hurt him, he likes it.
Page
he misses him, he gets upset.
Excuse me, George. Page was floored early by Jose Luis Lopez and came back to win the fight.
He was really hurt, as Larry said earlier. That he was hurt.
The right punch, the right hand punch.
Yeah. Page got hurt. At this point, he doesn't want to give Gar too much respect.
Yeah,
if he takes courage, he'll run over him.
And Gar thinks he found something as he throws another sneak right hand over those leaping lefts.
You see, his corner told him to stop leaping with those shots, and he started to shorten them up, and that's where he got into trouble. You want to let this guy alone. Let him get out there and win and fight his own fight. Page, let him do what he want to do.
Gar landing the right, even though he throws one punch at a time and kind of leaps in behind a loaded shot. Page often so offensive-minded that he leaves himself open for Gar. Evander Holyfield singing in his dressing room as he prepares for the big fight. As he was identified on the cover of a recent magazine with a long profile article, God's champion, Evander Holyfield.
He seems to be working himself up into what some religious people would call an ecstatic state.
Let me tell you, in church, there are two kinds of singers. The ones you put in the choir and the one you put way in the back.
Yeah.
Holyfield is the one you put way in the back.
Expert information from the preacher. In round 4, by CompuBox numbers, Sam Gar landed 18 of 27 power shots. And here again, he leaps past Page's right glove and lands the left hook. Now Page with a straight right hand.
Hey, don't punch, don't punch. Turn around.
Now Gar's starting to stand his ground and counterpunch.
And what can Page do to stop Gar's growing confidence against him, George?
Well, his corner pulled him off, as I said earlier. He had this fight in control. He was missing a lot, but he was controlling things. He put his hands up a little bit and started throwing short punches, gave this guy some confidence. Go back to the first and second rounds, and it doesn't matter how much you miss. Evidently, you believe you're in shape, so go for it.
Right-left combination by Sam Gar. Page concentrating to the body early in the round. Gar comes back with a body combination of his own. Gar with a little smile on his face that seems to say, I sense an opportunity here that nobody thought I would have.
He's the better boxer, that's what it is. And it's turning into a boxing match.
So now Page seems in this round to be bent on trying to make it a slugging contest again.
And he better at this point keep it slugfast. You notice when he just tips punches in a little bit at a time, one over and over, he's effective. So maybe you should just pick up the pace a little bit and just keep a punch in this guy's face. If Page does that, it's better than a knockdown.
Page lands the heavier shots, but when he takes a little bit off his fastball, he lands in combination. This has been a good round for James Page, as he seems for the moment to have reestablished his initiative, but there's another one of those left hooks by Gar, and Page backs up onto the ropes.
Another quick lead right hand by Gar.
But Gar not throwing nearly as many punches this round as has been the case before. You wonder if he's trying to get a little breather, take the second half of the round off to give himself a bit of a rest, George.
He's a boxer. He's thinking.
Use the water. All right, stand up, elbows down.
I got it.
Hold this, hold this. Breathe in. Put your head out.
You outboxing these boys, man. Breathe deep. Breathe deep, let it out slow. You hear what I said?
Yes.
You outboxing, okay? You in great shape now.
Give it to me. Take a deep breath, come on. Don't fall in with your jab, man. Step with it. Okay? And when you fall, y'all better. Come on,
whistle, baby.
Come on.
Round 6, Page. Now you got to fight
like you fought that last round. All right? Okay? Don't fall, step. Come on, man.
Use body.
Come on, man.
Page is finding out what a lot of you new or young champions find out, as we said earlier about Vargas. You go out there, you look at the guy's record. It's a thoroughbred against a $2,500 claimer on the record, and the $2,500 claimer comes out there and looks like a $50,000 handicap horse.
I'm in Madison Square Garden. This is my chance.
In round 5, though, Page was able to get back on target, landing 30 of 53 punches by CompuBox numbers. His best round since early in the fight.
Page seems to do better when he picks up both feet and throw punches. And he settle down trying to throw one at a time, misses a lot. Should put a little skip into his punch, to his feet. Skip a little bit. Go forward, skip it.
Four-punch combination by Gar. First time in a while that he's tried to put punches together.
See, if you skip forward to meet a guy, don't stop skipping and throwing shots. Get right up and keep skipping.
Takes energy.
So you get up close to him, throw your punches.
Watch your heads coming in, fellas.
Sense of anticipation growing in the building now. Within an hour of the main event, the heavyweight unification battle between Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis. James Page has never had a knockdown past, or a knockout, I should say, past the 6th round. So the book on this is if Gar can make it into the 7th, he might have a chance to go the distance with Page. But now there's blood over Gar's left eye, and Page begins to land some of his heaviest shots of the bout. And more it looks as though Sam Gar has run out of gas.
You know what happened? Page was able to throw a 1-2-3 combination. Once you put the left hook behind that right hand, things will get better and better.
Little blood on the left eyelid of Gar.
Not a lot of blood, just a trickle. We'll check between rounds to see what cutman Tommy Parks has to say about Gar's left eye. And you see the derisive smile that Gar flashes for Page as we reach the midpoint of the bout.
All right, now here.
Jimmy,
Let me see what we got.
Accidental headbutt on the cut on Sam Gar's left eye. Accidental headbutt.
At the mouthpiece, somebody?
I got it.
Breathe, Sam. Breathe deep, breathe deep.
Sam, you know how to move your head, all right? I need you moving that head, baby. Okay? You need to bend them knees and work the body. Okay?
Breathe deep.
Breathe deep.
Whether Gar got tired or whether Page zeroed in, the result is the same. Page's best round landed some good straight punches instead of throwing all roundhouse punches. Right there, right through with the shoulder. Classic stuff. And as we show you these replays, you may have heard that referee Steve Smoger said that the cut over Gar's eye was caused by an accidental headbutt.
You know, the corner didn't work much on that eye at all.
No, they touched it with gauze and put a little salve on it, and that was it.
They have no idea what they're doing.
Well, that's amateur hour then in the corner. They didn't come up for the big show, ready, hoping to make some news for their unheard of fighter.
Page is a reminder of fighters like Jimmy Ellis, Charlie Shipes. Emma Griffith would go to the Bay Area and run into some of the toughest opponents of his career.
Blood pouring from the nose now of Gar. That was not a headbutt, that was just some good hard punching.
So what you're saying is that the Bay Area of California has produced some good fighters over the years.
That's true, but little known. They would come up to Madison Square Garden and give some good shows for themselves.
Well, and you mentioned Page's having run afoul of the law a couple times. Early on, he was in a youth detention center. And then later on, after credit card fraud charges, spent a little time in a work release program at San Quentin. And it was during those two stints that he recommitted himself to boxing after having left the sport as an amateur at 16. And as George said, part of the stimulus was seeing some guys he had fought against as amateurs competing as professionals on television, notably Emmett Linton.
Apparently he was a pretty well-known amateur in his younger days, and even in his early days as a pro, he had some good fights. Lost to Stevie Johnson, one of the current lightweight belt holders, but he never really dedicated himself, as you said, Jim, till he saw the dark side of life in prison and thought he'd better get himself in gear and use his talent in a positive way.
George,
Page is going back to one punch at a time. And all of this came about the hurting and the taking of power by the 1, 2, 3. If he can only get back to those combinations, he can get re-established and maybe even get a knockout.
As for Gar, with a record of 23-2 or 25-2 and 23 knockouts, he's probably not accustomed to tasting his own blood.
Now, this is a new day for him, but he's brave.
And he's still able to pot shot Page with those right-hand leads as Page comes in. Gar landing 3 straight right-hand leads cleanly as Page looks for further opportunities to land the big power punch. And you're exactly right, George. One punch at a time doesn't work nearly as well as the combinations did. There's a combination by Sam Gar. Bravery on display for the unknown fighter from Stone Mountain, Georgia.
See, that was your round. You can take this kid, baby.
And in Lennox Lewis's dressing room, slightly different scene than was the case down the hall in Holyfield scene. The cheering you hear in the auditorium because this picture appears on the giant screen mounted above the ring. We may have mentioned to you, I'm sure James Brown has said it, thousands of English fight fans who purchased tickets months ago, having made the trip across the Atlantic to be here. And a shot of Keith Richards in the audience brings the English crowd even further to life.
See how he's sticking and moving? That's exactly what I want. When he
Some of
starts
the
throwing big shots, you go right to his body.
This is unbelievable, George. They're not touching that cut. What is going on?
Larry said it was amateur hour.
That man, Tommy Parks, has been around a little bit. I wonder if he's not looking carefully enough to see the potential damage there.
Sometimes these guys have been around a long time, but they don't know how to work cuts. So sometimes they just don't do anything.
Harold, how do you have it through 7?
Jim, 6-1, 69-64, James Parks. Jim, I tell you, I've got him winning on clean punching and effective aggressiveness. When Smoger calls an accidental headbutt, Jim, it means that we go to the scorecards if the fight is stopped because of that, you know, that cut over the left eye. We would go to the scorecards. It wouldn't be a TKO.
Any chance that they would not be working the cut because they want the fight to be stopped?
No, I don't think so, because Gar is doing a good job of defending himself. Throws a jab and every now and then leaps in with a left hook. So there's a chance that anything could happen.
Well, he ran out of gas demonstrably in the 6th round, but came back in the 7th, particularly at the end, and now is bouncing on his feet in the 8th.
He's got a second win. This is the kind of fighter you want to keep him fresh, clean up the cuts so he can go back.
Page trying to settle matters with one big 1-2. Another instance where it appears Page might be thinking knockout a little too much, not satisfied just to punch the man and pile up points.
You hear the Brits in the background starting to warm up for the main event.
And there are a lot of fight fans in this building who are looking around now and recognizing for the first time that Evander Holyfield may not have a home court advantage in Madison Square Garden tonight.
I asked some English writer friends of mine about the fans coming here, and they said, well, the difference between this time and other occasions is that they actually think their man can win.
Vicious right-hand body shot by Page has put Gar in trouble now in the closing 45 seconds of round 8. Page landed a lot of punches to the head that didn't do nearly as much damage, George, as that one right-hand shot to the ribcage.
Pot shot time now.
Gar's mouthpiece almost comes out. Page recognizes the possibility, lands another combination, and Gar hoping that the bell will sound. Let's go to reporter Nick Charles. What's up, Nick?
Well, Jim, there's a bone of contention going on over the size of the ring. We measured it at 18 feet. The Lewis camp was clearly upset to discover it was that small. There's a contract, we were told by the Lewis people, proclaiming the ring should be 20 feet. And it isn't. It's 18. Don Turner in Evander Holyfield's camp, the trainer for Holyfield, said obviously they're worried, they want their man to run, so what else can they worry about? They're worried about his cup, they're worried about the ring right now, but New York officials said it is certainly legal. The parameters of the ring can be anywhere from 18 square to 22. They're 18, so they fit within the rules, but it's clearly upsetting the Lewis camp.
One thing's for certain, Nick. The fans at ringside are jammed in like sardines. This thing ain't getting any bigger tonight.
Well, in fact, I think one of the reasons it's smaller is to get a couple of extra rows in there.
Almost no doubt about it when you consider the round card girls don't have seats, the judges don't have seats, the kinds of people who would normally be given a chance to sit near the ring and watch the card can't do so tonight. Those seats have all been sold.
At $1,500 a copy.
Between rounds break, extending a few seconds past a minute here. Sam Gar getting a few extra precious seconds to recover, but he looks wobbly as he comes out to start the round, George.
A bad corner decision. This guy's not doing well. Put up the best fight he's had tonight, and you have to pick him up off the stool to send him out as though he's a great puncher like Archie Moore or someone.
You're saying because he's a boxer and he took a beating in the last round that they should have thrown in the towel?
If he's a big puncher and has a chance of coming back like some of the great fighters, Archie Moore, you lift him up, you bring him back, Joe Lewis, but this guy, It's dependent on combinations of hitting and running.
And he would appear to have no logical chance to win a decision at this point. So George is suggesting that Sam Garr has been sent out as cannon fodder in round 9.
Well, I think he's earned a chance to go as far as he can go, as he wants to go.
Well, this fighter can come back against a lesser opponent and get his confidence again if you manage him right.
Well,
I saw the corner lift him up. That's bad.
You can see from the behavior of referee Steve Smoger that Garr is going to taste the canvas before he'll get out. And he lands a right cross that stops Page in his tracks, but Page comes right back with a vicious left hook. It's Page's kind of fight now, giving and taking. His thunder a lot louder than Garr's.
Page told us he wanted to look beautiful in Madison Square Garden. I can't say he looks beautiful, but he does look very strong, very tough, and a winner.
Garr's fighting on nothing but heart now.
Has the look of a beaten fighter. Page kind of collecting his breath and getting ready to throw combinations, trying to finish his man. Garr, well aware of what's going on there. He's a bright young man. We enjoyed talking to him yesterday. And when you look at the possible fatigue factor for Garr, oh, and another right cross across the top. Great fighter.
I think it takes more out of him to throw those right cross at this point than it does
if he lands on Page. Yeah.
Well, the difference between classes of fighters in some measure certainly has to do with how hard you can hit. And he's hit Page some real clean, solid shots, and Page has just kept coming.
That's true.
Remember that Garr has not made the welterweight limit of 147 since June of 1993, almost 6 years. So if he's lost energy during the fight, it could be because getting down to this weight was a new experience for him.
Okay, listen to me, listen to me. Let me see that water. Let me see the big spit bucket. Breathe deep, Sam.
All right, breathe deep.
Breathe deep. Spit that out.
Relax, Sam. Take your time, Sam. Take your time.
Sammy, you all right, Sammy?
You can come back in the same spot. You come back in the same spot all day long. But you throwing them wild shots, man. Make yourself look bad.
You got to start busting him with combinations. Just don't hit
him. If you
hard.
go underneath here, if you move, come back right there.
Page is like a slugger who doesn't mind missing because he knows that he's going to connect and put some hurt on the thing he's trying to connect with. Some fighters would be embarrassed to be fanning the air so much in a fight of this nature before this kind of a crowd. Page can't be embarrassed. He just keeps coming back and winging.
Scorecard through 9, Harold.
Jim, 8-1, 89-82. James Page. I mean, personally, I just think he's running away with it. It's clean punching. It's effective aggressiveness. It's the hardest shots. That's what's winning it for him. Sam Garr has his moments, lands some great right hands every so often, but it's only one at a time. Basically, James Page winning the fight because he's the harder puncher.
Time. Neutral. Come on, baby.
The tape
Jeff,
on,
come on, let's go.
One of the gloves of Page has come loose.
Go. Sometimes a day, guy. All right, let's go. Let's get this tape going. You got a scissors?
No, I got
Come on, Jeff. Let's go.
Page's corner taking its sweet time handling the tape problem. No hurry.
You busted motherfucker with this, will you?
All right. Time.
This is round 10. Page has been beyond 10 only one time. That was in the 12-round decision over Lopez. Garr has been as far as 10 only one time. That was in one of his 2 losses to a fighter named Glenn Koff Johnson. In the past year, Gar's fights have taken him 2-1, 3, 2-5, and 2 rounds. So he's in deep water here as he fires left hooks and tries to mount yet another offense in the 10th.
Ooh. We might have had a double knockdown if those punches landed, George.
Look at the stick-to-itiveness of Sam Gar.
He's gotten himself into a position where he's got to fight or run out of that ring, one of the two.
He may not have had an identity coming in here tonight, but he has certainly shown desire, heart, courage, even as he takes a beating from James Page.
And he has some college education there, too, studying to be a pharmacist.
Like Harold Letterman.
Well, you wonder if he was a sparring partner for Vernon Forrest down there in Atlanta, how Vernon Forrest would stack up against someone like Page.
And I expect we're going to find out somewhere down the road, because Vernon is moving into range of some big fights.
Page just can't seem to get 3 punches together.
Right hand lead lands flush again for Gar.
Hey!
You all right, kid? Suck it up for him. You all right? Okay.
I like what Steve Smoger did there. He sees Gar taking a beating, checked with him to see if he wanted to continue. Here we see Page turning into a southpaw momentarily.
You know, boxing fans have seen Steve Smoger a lot, so I was stunned to learn tonight this is the first time Steve has ever been in Madison Square Garden. Not just the first time he's refereed a fight here, first time he's ever been in the building.
Listen, every time you do something, you hit him. You know what I mean? You take control. Every time you do something, you got to be the boss in there, all right? Come on, you want to just tell you we got to snatch it, man. You got to go forward, all right, Sam? You can beat this kid. Come on. Come on, look like you went in there. Come on, suck it up. It's showtime, all right? Let's do this.
So you heard, then you sat back and wait. Sit up, let me fix your face.
Where the towel is when we wipe this water?
Huh? All right, James, 11.
Where the
12.
towel is?
Don't do something stupid like that. Let him in a fight.
Yeah, all right. Okay, let's go.
6 minutes to go.
All right.
Be smart. Don't be giving him free shots.
You
got to wipe this water up.
Come on, come on.
Try guys right there. Second time.
Here it is.
Hey. Okay. Thank you. Is there a doctor in the house? Thank you, sir. I need a doctor.
Round 11 of a scheduled 12. Sam Gar, heavy underdog in the black trunks, apparently trailing world welterweight champion James Page, as Page tries to defend his title for the second time. This is the last bout before the main event. Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis will be next.
James Page's mother is his manager. She even walked into the ring with him.
Pam Page, mother of 4. I said, how do you like being a boxing manager? She said, well, I feel like I've been a manager all my life.
You start raising some kids.
She's proud of her son's comeback from difficult circumstances, to say the least. Blood streaming from the nose, the mouth, and above the left eye of Sam Gar as he tries to make it to the finish line against the rising thoroughbred Page.
He seems to have taken courage now with a little footwork, using his left foot as the pivot, going back and forward. Guess he said, if it hasn't happened to me, it's not going to.
Come up, Jimmy. Come up.
Page whacking to the body again with the right hand. And Gar takes the cue to pound to the body himself and beats Page to the punch as he steps inside. Sam Garr, who's never had exposure like this before, has earned another shot or another opportunity to do something off the bravery of his performance here.
Well, he's just landed 2 solid right hands on Page. Page must be a little bit tired. I don't think he was expecting to be here at the center stage in Madison Square Garden for a full hour.
Crowd-pleasing fight. A lot of contact.
There's a sign of fatigue as he winds up, throws a haymaker, and backs up 3 paces.
Low blow by Page. Smoger warning him to keep him up. Garr fighting through the bloody mask. Takes a hard right hand. Pays the price for his bravery.
No. Thank you, James.
Okay, last round coming up, Sam.
Look at those connect percentages. That's a high contact fight.
Get that bucket under him, man.
Easy with the water, guys.
Okay, here. Drink this.
Okay, Sam.
Come on.
Last one, Sam. Come on, Joe.
Come on.
Last one, James. We touch him in the center. Last one.
Here you go. Hold still.
Hands go, baby. All right. Listen, you're doing good. Only time you stop punching, that's when he come back on you. You gotta get your stuff off, all right? Get the hands working.
Breathe on. You hurt this guy, then you back off and let him get out of it. Why? Hurry him and take him out.
I got you go out behind me. I got a green guy. You go out.
Page. Go ahead, Larry.
Bless you both, but come on, let's rock now. Come on.
Oh, the referee's voice. I thought it was yours. Page waits at the center of the ring for Garr, and they start round 12. There's the Letterman card as we go into the final round. He sees the issue as having been decided in favor of the champion, Page. Oh, what a right hand by Garr. Stopped Page in his tracks, and sensing an opportunity, Garr presses forward. Another right hand lands flush for Garr. It's not out of the question. Garr getting much the better of Page in the first minute of this round.
That's it.
Garr's a guy that does not depend on a defense, though. He keeps himself wide open. It's like he even expects to get hit.
Well, for the last 2 rounds coming into this one, the fighters have been landing about 70% of their punches. Nobody's missing anymore.
Don't punch. Good. Okay.
Well, let's give high marks to Sam Garr for stepping up in class, showing himself to be a prize fighter.
Hands up.
Yeah, if Page gets a silver star, Garr certainly gets a Purple Heart for this one.
Page is going in just 1 punch at a time. If I hit you, good. If I miss you, I'm still not throwing more than 1 at a time.
They're both tired. Page probably senses he doesn't have to win the round. So Garr is the one who's risking more and earning more in the 12th.
Well, if Page meant to come to Madison Square Garden and impress everybody that he belonged in a class with Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad, he has not lived up to that hope.
Well said. Mission not accomplished.
I don't think so. I think the guy's a world-class fighter.
Really, he is.
Yeah, he eased up on this guy earlier in the fight, and you can't change boats in the middle of the stream. That's what causes the problem.
If he beat Lopez, he beat a heck of a fighter. I'm just saying he wanted to make a bigger statement here.
No, he's made a statement.
All right, so you're saying that you do put him in the league with Oscar and Felix.
Yeah, I can't say he can whip him, but he's there. He's jumped over to a tough cookie there.
Pretty doggone good opponent. I don't think anybody here knew that Sam Garr was as good as he's shown in these 12 rounds. Certainly we didn't have a sense of that. Much applause for both fighters.
Sam Garr gave himself a night to remember for the rest of his life. Took some real punishment. But the hurt will go away and the memory will not.
So they'll go to the scorecards in this WBA World Welterweight Championship fight. Harold?
Jim, 117, 111, 9 rounds to 3. James Page. Jim, I tell you that Sam Garr showed some heart in rounds 11 and 12. No question he pulled him out. He stunned James Page with those right hands. It's a shame he couldn't knock him down because he stunned him early in the 12th. So you got to give Sam Garr rounds 11 and 12. Certainly you got to give him the 4th. But other than that, James Page on clean punching and effective aggressiveness. Those are the 2 keys.
It'll be interesting to see what the official scorecards say. You're tempted to say that if Garr had a little more punching power, he might have had a chance to pull a major upset here tonight. Again, the connect percentages, Page landing 53% of his punches, throwing 105 more than Garr. Garr landing 49% of his punches, and jabs very similar here. Page connecting at a higher rate. Part of what made the bout look different, part of what created all the blood on Sam Garr's face. Hello to mom and dad, I think he said. And a final look at Sam Garr. Let's go to the official decision with Jimmy Lennox Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of boxing here at the world's most famous arena, we have a unanimous decision, and here are the score totals. Our judge at ringside, Don Ackerman, scores the bout 117 to 111. Judge Gonzalo Rivera scores the bout 116 to 113. And our judge Luis Rivera scores the bout 119 to 108. All 3 in favor of the winner. And still WBA welterweight champion of the world, the mighty Quinn James Page.
All right, so form holds in the welterweight title fight. That's the semi-main. Upcoming next, the last event of the evening, heavyweight championship stuff. Let's go back up to our host, James Brown.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. James Page indeed did hold on to his welterweight title, but he fought a very impressive Sam Garr, a young man who just started fighting full-time not too long ago, having given up a job as a landscaper to concentrate on boxing. Hopefully the future looks bright for him. Coming up a little later, in just about 25 minutes, it will be the main event. Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis in the unification bout in the heavyweight ranks. Evander Holyfield, folks, he has maintained he has not been bragging. It is not a prediction. He says it is a fact that he will take Lennox Lewis out in 3 rounds. Is that pressure on him? He says no, because he knows that is in fact what will take place. Lennox Lewis has traveled across the ocean. He says, in fact, this is his. Once again, we'd like to remind you that following tonight's coverage of the undisputed heavyweight championship between Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis, that you can watch the post-fight press conference live on the internet with the Windows Media Player at www.holyfieldlewis.com. Folks, this legendary arena hosting Holyfield Lewis is not the original Madison Square Garden. This is building number 4. This building opened in 1968, but Madison Square Garden's boxing history started up over a century ago. Yes, prize fighting and Madison Square Garden have been around for a long, long time, and boxing certainly will continue after tonight's unification bout. But look around and you can certainly feel the electricity here this evening. Folks, Madison Square Garden is a hallowed ground in the annals of boxing history.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena.
The legend was born 116 years ago. The first Madison Square Garden originally hosted sometimes successful Wild West shows with the likes of Buffalo Bill. But when it needed a big attraction, it turned to boxing and the sport's first heavyweight champion, John L. Sullivan. Through the decades, 3 Madison Square Garden arenas followed, and so did the world's greatest prize fighters.
For the heavyweight championship of the world.
Years later, the growing worldwide popularity of this pugilist palace was noted by the late Harry Markson during a business trip to Rome and a chance meeting with the Pope.
A papal aide walked behind us with a clipboard to identify each one of these people. And when he got to me, he said, Harry Markson, Madison Square Garden, New York. And the Pope, his eyes lit up and he went, Madison Square Garden, boxing.
And still the heavyweight champion of the world, Joe Lewis.
You're talking about genealogy here. And never mind if it was this garden or that garden or even the garden before it. The garden is the garden is the garden, and anything in it increases because it is the garden.
And may the better participant emerge triumphant.
Since 1924, this hallowed ring has survived, a unique legacy to boxing's spiritual headquarters.
You look at that ring and you realize that very ring is the same ring that held fights of Joe Louis and Sugar Ray Robinson and Muhammad Ali. It's got to impress you. It's got to leave you with a feeling of history.
In over a century of great prize fights, no night was more eventful than March 8, 1971. Ali, Frazier, the fight.
This is the first time that 2 undefeated heavyweight champions have met for the undisputed possession of the World Heavyweight title.
We had Norman Mailer covering the fight for Life magazine, and Frank Sinatra was taking pictures. Everybody who was anybody had to be there.
And even anybody who wasn't anybody was dressed as if they were going to some kind of city coronation, urban coronation. It was just an incredible night.
A pulverizing left hook sends Ali to the canvas.
But as the years went by, big event fights like Ali Frazier shifted away with the arrival of the cash-rich casinos. Yet despite the change in economics, this building still holds its glorious mystique and brings together Holyfield and Lewis into that 75-year-old ring.
And it was like all the forces in boxing for one night said, you know, we're going to do the whole thing right. We're going to match the 2 guys that should be fighting, and we're going to put them in the place where they should be fighting at Madison Square Garden, the #1 arena in the world for boxing.
So the spirit that made Madison Square Garden boxing shines again. Tonight's unification battle nobly restores the house that Sullivan and other legends built to its longtime position of prominence. And folks, this is the very same ring that will be hosting another big championship fight right here at Madison Square Garden. The event is dedicated tonight to former Madison Square Garden boxing president Harry Markson. Now, Roy, you heard Nick mention that complaints from Lennox Lewis and Emmanuel Stewart about the 18-foot ring. Does it definitely favor Evander because he's 36 years of age?
Yes, it does. Number one, he doesn't have to use his legs that much because the ring is a lot smaller. Number two, he wants to catch up with Lennox Lewis. He needs to catch up with Lennox Lewis. So it was going to benefit him anyway because of the style. He needs to get to the inside in order to neutralize Lennox's long arms and his power.
But you had also maintained if the ring were bigger, it still wouldn't hurt Lennox or make that Evander Holyfield.
Would not hurt Evander at all. Evander is a vet. He's been in this game a long time. He knows how to catch up with his opponent, no matter how big or small the ring is.
All right, earlier this evening, Nick Charles caught up with Evander Holyfield when he got here to the arena. Here's what the interview discussed back then.
But the heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield. Madison Square Garden, Ali, Frazier, Lewis, Rocky, they've all been here. Given the sense of occasion in this building, what did you feel like walking in here tonight?
Well, you know, I'm just glad to be here and get this thing over, and I guess I can talk about it more when this thing is over.
In terms of intimidation, it's part of your war chest. Any feeling what Lennox Lewis would be feeling at this stage, at this moment?
Well, I'm really not over concerned with how you feel. I have a job to do. I'm just ready to do it.
How do you feel?
I feel great. Super.
What is Don Turner, your trainer, going to remind you of now in these minutes and moments leading up to this big moment?
Well, hopefully he won't have to remind me of anything. I look forward to doing everything right. And so I come back, he just pat me on the back and say, "You're doing good."
You predicted the third round knockout. What specifically did you see in Lennox Lewis's style to make you say that?
Well, I didn't see anything. The fact is that he just happened to beat an opponent tonight that just going to get knocked out. It's not because he have flaws. It's just the fact that in the game of boxing, everybody have flaws.
Will it cause you to press the issue, Evander, and you start hearing that third round clicking on, coming to a close, and it maybe hasn't happened, maybe do something out of character?
Well, not really. I'm led by the Spirit, and the Spirit will lead me in the right time to do this.
18-foot ring is smaller than he wanted. How does it help you?
Well, it didn't make no difference. We was in a big ring. It wouldn't make any difference. A small ring, it don't make any difference.
Final thought again. It's 3 rounds and it's over.
3 rounds is over.
Okay, Evander Holyfield. Short night at the office.
Short night.
All right, Nick, thank you very much. Coming up next, the main event, the heavyweight unification showdown between Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis. Champion Holyfield is indeed a warrior with riveting appeal. He has defied the odds so many times and done it by taking the path, folks, of most resistance. Champion Lewis finally gets the mega matchup he's been searching for, which he says will define his career. Held at the only center stage that is appropriate, it is the Mecca of boxing right here at Madison Square Garden. For over 14 years, Evander Holyfield has distinguished himself as one of the greatest warriors of all time. First becoming undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world, and then undisputed heavyweight champion. For over 10 years, Lennox Lewis has been searching for the perfect fight to define his career and showcase his talents to the world. When Mike Tyson fought Tony Tucker in 1987, it was the last time 2 heavyweights came together to unify the title. The significance of Holyfield Lewis is that the heavyweights will now be the only division in boxing to have a unified champion. Holyfield and Lewis earned their titles by defeating Tyson, Moore, and McCall. After tonight, boxing's crown jewels will now have one home. One fighter is known for his heart, courage, and toughness.
And just like that, the champion struggles to stay on his feet. What a hard-fought Holyfield. Look at Holyfield. What a warrior. Reversing the tide of the battle. The champion now has bone wobbling.
The other fighter is known for his size, power, and big overhand right. Three belts on the line. 2 champions trying to solidify their place in history. One fight to answer so many questions. For over a century, the world's most famous arena has opened its doors to boxing's greatest fighters. But not since the politically charged cultural event that was Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier 28 years ago has a heavyweight matchup of this magnitude taken place at the Garden. To boxing historians and fans, the Holyfield-Lewis Championship bout at Madison Square Garden is a fitting conclusion to this century. the two best heavyweights for the undisputed championship of the world, fighting in the most historic boxing venue in the world. Evander Holyfield versus Lennox Lewis. As this century comes to a close, it's only fitting that the sport of boxing culminate the year with only one heavyweight champion. Moments from now, in boxing's most historic venue, both Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis will put their respective titles on the line for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Tonight's telecast is being brought to you by Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. MoneyGram, international money transfer. GTC, when every minute counts. Budweiser, undisputed, undefeated king of beers. And by TVKO, pay-per-view entertainment from HBO. Tonight, the Mecca of boxing is once again the focal point of fight fans around the world. For only the fourth time in this building's history, there is a sellout for a championship fight, as nearly 21,000 plus fans anxiously await this heavyweight unification bout. Approximately 7,500 loyal British fans, as you heard Jim Lampley mention, have made the trip across the Atlantic to be here, hoping to see Lennox Lewis become the first Brit to become the undisputed heavyweight champion since Bob Fitzsimmons did it in 1897. The gate for tonight, in excess of $12 million, second largest in boxing history. And with what's on the line tonight, folks, as usual, championship bouts and especially heavyweight bouts bring out the stars. Bill Parcells, football coach for the Jets. Jack Nicholson, who spends as much time here as he does on the Lakers sidelines with his old nemesis Spike Lee. Michael Douglas, they're all here, folks. Brian Gumbel, Patrick Ewing from the New York Knicks. And yes, Keith Richards, and you will hear the Brits cheer loud and clear for him. And good evening once again, everyone. I'm James Brown. Well, the showdown between the two best fighters in the heavyweight division is just moments away. And at the end of the night, one man will be the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Who will that be? Well, according to Evander Holyfield, during the final press conference this past Wednesday, there is no doubt about the outcome.
Tell the people that you're just going to do what you're going to do. So I just told people, yeah, I'm going to knock him out in the third round. I'm going to knock him out. It don't take anything from him, mean that he would fight a good fight.
Well, I'm joined now by my co-host, Roy Jones Jr., and the man who also has 2 championship belts in the light heavyweight division. We spent a lot of time with Evander Holyfield yesterday. You heard him talk so much about this third round prediction. Is he putting too much pressure on himself? How does he avoid that big overhand right from Lennox Lewis?
Well, he's not putting too much pressure on himself. That's the way he wants the fight to end. If that's the way you want it to happen, if that's what your gut feeling is, then that's what you display. And that's what he's doing. The only way for him to avoid that big overhand right from Lennox Lewis is to get inside, work off of Lennox Lewis's jab, and try to get very close to him. That'll keep Lennox from being able to extend that overhand right and maybe catch him out on the end where it's most dangerous at.
Okay, we've talked a lot about Evander Holyfield. Definitely has earned that reputation as a warrior. He will press Lennox Lewis. That's what we think throughout the night. How does Lennox Lewis deal with that?
Well, Lennox has to mix up his jab. Use his jab, fake his jab, make it a quick jab sometimes, jab to the chest sometimes to keep Evander on the outside, and that way Evander can't counter his jab. If he doesn't do that, he's going to have a problem.
Now, we talk so much about that overhand right of Lennox Lewis. He does have another weapon, if he uses it, Roy, that is quite effective in setting up that overhand right.
And that is his left hook. But when he throws the left hook, it's going to make him close enough so that Evander can also hit him with a left hook or an overhand right.
All right, well, Evander Holyfield, when talking with us yesterday, put one final period on our conversation by referring to Hebrews 1:11 when talking about that third round knockout. It is, as referenced, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Well, we will see. Right now, let's go back downstairs to our blow-by-blow announcer, Jim Lampley.
All right, thank you very much, James Brown. Let's get ready to learn once and for all who has been the heavyweight of the 90s. And working with me, one of the heavyweights of all time, George Foreman. George, let's go back to the by now tabloid immortalized 3-round Holyfield prophecy. Will it affect the way Evander fights the first 3 rounds?
I don't think so. I think that it was a good marketing idea. A lot of people who didn't think much of this fight are starting to think a lot about it now. One guy predicts a fight. Hey, why not? I'm buying it.
The tickets sold out months ago. You think Evander was just selling pay-per-view hookups with that?
Yeah, and he's a great champion. It's about time that he steps out of the shadow of Muhammad Ali, Joe Lewis, and all of those and start predicting things. Why not? No one can predict the future, but you can sure talk about it.
Carrying some of the economic destiny of the sport on his shoulders, the man now, Evander Holyfield. Well, here also the man in terms of fight analysis, Larry Merchant. And Larry, heavyweight championship fights are by definition exercises in hype. In this arena, all of that is multiplied in impact. Now we're ready for the bout. Can it live up to its buildup?
Well, if we can get some of these American fans here who've spent all this money for tickets to reply to some of the raucous Brits we hear starting to buzz up into an electrical craziness in the background, perhaps they will inspire some spontaneous combustion in the ring. I just want to say that this has been against the backdrop of an American century for heavyweights. And Evander Holyfield carries forth that tradition in a way that seems so familiar to us. He is a highly skilled, well-schooled professional prize fighter with uncommon, very, very uncommon winning attitude, true grit. Lennox Lewis is the 13th British heavyweight of this century who has tried to climb this mountain. All the others have tumbled off or been knocked off. He may be as strong as all of them combined, but the one man he has to beat tonight does have more skill and probably has more will than any other fighter. The drama is implicit in the stakes. It's implicit in this nostalgic sight for great fights. The rest is up to the heavyweights to turn us on so that we turn them on.
And as we go up to the ring for 2 national anthems, Larry, we'll also hear the traditional 10-count eulogy for a fallen idol.
And that would be Joe DiMaggio, who was an avid fight fan. And to me, my boyhood hero, I thought the sun was a personal spotlight when Joe DiMaggio stood in center field.
The spotlight now falls on ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Before we bring out our fighters in our main event of the evening, we'd like your attention for a solemn moment, as we would like to take this opportunity to pause and give a boxing tribute of a 10 count in honor of a great New York sports figure and baseball legend, Joe DiMaggio, who recently passed away. As a sports hero to many, he was one of the regular attenders here at the big fights at Madison Square Garden. And at this time, we ask you to rise and remain silent as our timekeeper tolls 10 in honor of the fallen legend of baseball, the great Joe DiMaggio. Thank you very much for your attention, ladies and gentlemen. May God rest his soul. Please remain standing as at this time we present the national anthems of the respective world champions in our main event this evening. First, on behalf of the WBC heavyweight champion, our visitor from Great Britain, we present the singing of God Save the Queen. Please lead us, a fine Londoner. How about a hand of welcome to Henry Brown.
God save our gracious Queen. Long live our noble Queen. God save our Queen. Send her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save our Queen. England! England!
Thank you very much to Henry Brown. Now, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the defending WBA and IBF heavyweight world champion, my pleasure to introduce you at this time to lead us in the U.S. national anthem. Please welcome the very popular and talented R&B recording artist. How about a hand of welcome to D'Angelo.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly, yeah, streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you very much to D'Angelo.
Tale of the tape between Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis. 3-year age advantage for the British fighter. 3 inches taller. The 31-pound weight differential, the biggest disadvantage Holyfield has faced in that category since April 19, 1991, when George Foreman outweighed him by 48 pounds. 215 pounds, the same weight Holyfield carried when he first beat Mike Tyson by knocking him out in the 10th round. Also the same weight Muhammad Ali brought into the ring 28 years ago against Joe Frazier. 6.5-inch reach advantage for Lewis. Punch stat numbers, Larry.
These numbers will give you an idea of how active these fighters were against a common opponent, Ray Mercer, 3 years ago. As you can see, Holyfield throws fewer punches. He is frequently, by nature, a counter puncher. Jabs, Lewis is the more active with the jab. For Holyfield, the jab is primarily a range finder as well.
Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Evander Holyfield Lennox Lewis bout is scheduled for 12 rounds using those rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell at any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim, a bit of a controversy. Lennox Lewis will wear Reyes gloves, Evander Holyfield Grant gloves. It's the first time in heavyweight championship history that it was done before in Bogolata 1, but it wasn't a title fight. Both have to be 10 ounces.
The difference in gloves came at Holyfield's insistence. Lennox Lewis enters first. He has labored long and bucked the tide of a lot of disrespect on this side of the Atlantic to get to this threshold.
There's almost too much at stake for this man. He's had an outstanding career. Everything that happens in the ring tonight will define that career, fairly or unfairly.
Fans in the arena cannot yet see Lennox as he makes his entrance. That moment comes now. Walking in front of Lewis, his trainer Emmanuel Stewart, the man who once guided Oliver McCall to a second-round knockout of Lennox, his only loss. And Stewart, with Michael Moore, Oliver McCall, Evander Holyfield against Riddick Bowe in their second fight, and with Lewis, has never lost a heavyweight championship fight. Because of the condition of the seating around ringside, fans jammed in like sardines, Lewis has some difficulty making it to the corner of the ring. Some small skirmishes at the edge of that knot of people as Lewis finally makes his way into the ring. Olympic gold medal in 1988, defeating Riddick Bowe to win it as a professional. 34 wins, the 1 second-round knockout, lost 1 punch at the hands of McCall, later avenged. 27 knockouts for the 2-time belt holder from England. Holyfield must take essentially the same path to the ring. Not nearly as difficult a trek so far for Evander and his entourage. For Holyfield, 2 to Riddick Bowe, 1 to Michael Moore. 36 wins, 25 knockouts, but with the sole exception of his knockout against Buster Douglas, Against larger fighters, Holyfield has almost always gone the distance. Against Foreman, twice against Bowe, and recently against Vaughn Bean. Now let's go up to ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden in New York City, for our featured bout of the evening, brought to you by Don King Productions in association with Panics of the U.S. Main events: Madison Square Garden, TVKO, and the undefeated, undisputed king of beers, Budweiser. This Bud's for you. As this is a unification attraction, this bout is directed under the auspices of the following sanctioning bodies: the World Boxing Association President Gilberto Mendoza, Supervisor Dr. Elias Cordova, the World Boxing Council President Jose Suleiman, Supervisor Gabriel Peña Carricano, the International Boxing Federation President Robert Lee Sr., Supervisor Walter Stone, and the New York State Athletic Commission, the Chairman, the Honorable Mel Southard, Commissioner Rose Tretman, Special Assistant to the Chairman Jim Posanello, Executive Director Tony Russo. Our physicians at ringside for this bout: Chief Physician is Dr. Billy Lathan, along with Dr. Robin Scarlatta, Dr. Rufus Sandler, and Dr. Richard Estrico. Timekeeper at the bell, Jim Borzell. Keeping count of the knockdowns, Wayne Kelly. Introducing to you our judges, whose responsibility is to judge this bout from ringside: from Johannesburg, South Africa, Stanley Christodoulou; from London, England, Larry O'Connell; from Atlantic City, New Jersey, Eugenia Williams; and our referee in charge of this bout, following in the tradition of his father, who was the third man to the ring some 28 years ago when Ali fought Frazier here at the Garden. The son is working in this, his 13th world title bout, Arthur Mercanti. All right, fans, here we go. It's the moment you've all been waiting for. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance, and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from Madison Square Garden, it's time for the main event of the evening: 12 rounds of boxing for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Introducing to you the WBC champion on my right, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing red trunks with gold trim, and hailing from London, England. He weighed in at 246 pounds with a record of 34 wins, 1 loss. He has 27 big wins coming by way of knockout. Please welcome the 1988 Olympic gold medalist, now in his second reign as world champion. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the hard-hitting, two-time and current WBC heavyweight champion of the world, introducing Lennox Lewis. And his opponent across the ring on my left, fighting out of the red corner, entering the ring wearing purple trunks with white trim, and hailing from Atlanta, Georgia. He weighed in at a ready 215 pounds. His record stands at 36 wins, 3 losses, 25 wins, coming by way of knockout. Please welcome the former undisputed cruiserweight world champion, the former undisputed heavyweight world champion, only the second man in history to have captured the heavyweight crown 3 times. Ladies and gentlemen, here is boxing's warrior, the IBF and WBA heavyweight champion of the world, introducing Evander, the real deal Holyfield. Once again, a referee in charge now to give instructions, Arthur Mercanti.
Good evening, gentlemen. You received the rules earlier tonight. Let's have a nice, clean fight, touch gloves, and good luck to the both of you.
Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition.
Judge, ready here. Judge, you ready? Judge, ready here.
Only 3 men left in the ring, and we're underway. Holyfield seeming to slip as Lewis landed the first punch of the bout. Lewis's job to fire his jab and be aggressive behind it. Holyfield's job to get inside of Lewis's range and fight him at close quarters. The chant in the background, Lewis, 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 from the English fans, mostly in the second and third decks. Here in the expensive seats at floor level, almost all Holyfield fans.
And Lewis, although he's aggressive now, he prefers if the fight comes to him. So if Evander starts being a bit more aggressive, it's not going to make him uncomfortable. Evander should bounce away, wait for Lewis to stop doing whatever he's going to do, and jump on him for doing nothing.
Critics say there are 2 Lennox Lewises. The occasionally aggressive fighter who fires his jab and hurries with the right hand behind it, or the occasionally timid fighter who lays the jab out there, uses it as a rangefinder, and waits to land his right hand. The second of the 2 is the one who is regarded as easily beatable by Evander Holyfield. The first of the 2 would be a package for the smaller Holyfield to handle.
You know, in the dressing room, they complain about Evander Holyfield's cup being high. Then you come out and see Lennox Lewis is wearing his cup almost up to his chest. What a great strategy by by Emanuel Stewart.
Well, I told you about Stewart's track record in heavyweight title fights. Don Turner in the other corner is top drawer as well. Left hook by Holyfield, blocked by Lewis. Lewis using his long arm so far to fend Holyfield off and keep him at range.
What you want to do, Lewis, you are the taller man, just don't get low. Make sure every punch that Evander Holyfield throw is up high. Catch him with your hand. Evander should go to the body. He can't protect that.
Double jabs for Lewis. Missed over the top with the right hand a moment ago. The English fans will ooh and ah whenever Lewis unleashes the big overhand right. And so far in the first round, Lewis has been in and out with the jab. Sometimes firing it aggressively, sometimes just laying it out there. Left hook lands for Holyfield.
But because Lewis is up high, it's non-effective. You want to get caught on the end of those punches and not get flesh, so just keep your height. Evander Holyfield should get to that body and make him drop those hands.
And Holyfield trying to tackle Lewis in the middle of the ring, and Lennox smiles at him as if to say, what the heck was that all about?
He's not going to go on with me in the ring, okay? Let's keep it clean.
Let him rest, ref.
Let's go. We're going to have a clean fight. Keep it clean.
You won the first round.
We're telling the same thing.
You won the first round. Water, Court. Water.
He's nowhere near as fast as the guys you've been working.
Give me water, Court.
Right here. That's what you was working on in training. Instead of shooting the right hand first, move him back.
You know you're getting away from his right hand good, and his chin is right there. When you stop it, nail him with yours.
Water. Hold it, gun.
Seconds out, gentlemen.
One of Evander Holyfield's minor prophecies for this fight is that he would dominate every minute of the fight from bell to bell. That didn't happen in the first round.
That goes by the wayside because Holyfield only threw 17 punches in round 1, reminiscent of the difficulty he had getting off against Bo, particularly in the third fight when he couldn't even throw 40 punches around. 17 punches around won't win for Evander Holyfield, and he cringes against the ropes as Lewis lands a right hand. Bigger man, George, bigger punch.
This is one of those fights you just want to sit back and let it happen.
You know, if if you didn't know about his third-round prediction, you would be guessing that you would be saying that Holyfield looked sluggish. But here, we're just sort of waiting for him to wake up in the third round.
Lennox Lewis is right where he want to be. Evander is allowing him to just stand up straight and stick his left hand out. Evander should close the distance.
Well, we were under the impression that Evander was going to try to get inside him, but so far he really hasn't tried that.
You heard Don Turner telling Holyfield that he was doing a good job of getting away from the right hand. But when Lewis fires the jab, he's landing it. That's how he won the first round.
I think the problem here is Evander is really looking for a knockout. He's not trying to be active. And the ropes being so close to his back, every time he makes one step, he hits the ropes. That's not helping him because he has to fold up and let Lewis land those right hands.
Well, the suspicion is that it was Holyfield who wanted the smaller ring so that he could fight Lewis at closer quarters. But he hasn't been in there so far.
Yeah, he takes a couple of bounces. There's a good left hook by Evander Holyfield. You got to shake this young man up. You got to do something to make his nerves unravel.
Lewis, who seemed very composed when we met with him yesterday, has not looked nervous in the first 2 rounds here.
Break! Step back.
Quiet here at floor level, where the Holyfield fans are wondering why their man doesn't get off. Raucous noise in the upper deck, where the Englishmen are enjoying Lewis's early dominance. Body shot by Lewis, partially blocked.
Lewis, obvious strategy, keeping that long, big left hand out to try to thwart anything that Holyfield can get started, George.
Now, Lewis' back is starting to go to the ropes, and that's not where you want to be. Once his back starts touching the rope, Holyfield is going to get confident.
But once again in round 2, Evander Holyfield very sparing in his punch output.
Yeah, hold out. This round he go out, y'all. He out of here.
Man, I see exactly what you're doing. Don't get careless.
Don't get careless. This end of this round right here. Shoot. He out of here. Like for the round? Yeah,
Early in the round, Lewis went after Holyfield, pinned him on the ropes, didn't hit him with anything big, but punished him with those shots on the arms and the back. But it's been the jab that has dominated the first 2 rounds. You just heard Holyfield say to his corner, this is the round he goes out. So either he doesn't have it tonight or he's been saving it for right now, and he comes out in a very aggressive posture.
Well, if he opens up to try to fulfill the round 3 prophecy, does Lewis get a chance with the right hand? Lewis, 21 of 54 with the jab in the first 2 rounds. Holyfield has only thrown 24 punches in rounds 1 and 2. You know what Holyfield said about round 3. Holyfield attacking to the body, his most aggressive combination so far. Over the top with the right hand. Did he get into Lewis's head? Did he make Lewis fear round 3?
You know, the good thing that Evander Holyfield chose those gloves, because he's planning on putting his hands on his head to block the shots. And the gloves he's using has a bigger pad right by the blocking on the wrist there. So he was clever in picking those gloves.
Leaving Lewis with what are called the puncher's gloves.
It's like a pillow.
Holyfield landed a left hook inside and lands a right hand, and Lewis is stunned. Evander attacking, trying to fulfill the prophecy. Lewis seemingly trying to collect himself as he stands in the corner and waits. Holyfield misses with the haymaker.
At some point, you want to make sure you're conservative now. Evander Holyfield has got 12 rounds to go. Throwing the big shots like that.
Lewis lands the uppercut for the first time in the fight and lands again as Holyfield tries to come inside. 1 minute to go in the prophecy.
It seems that he's real effective when he attacks Lennox Lewis. I don't know why he stops. Lewis had better pick his hands up, keep his hands up. That's about all he can do.
I think he's trying to set him up for something, George. I don't know what it is. The right hand right there.
Right cross landed flush for Holyfield. Lewis seemingly stunned again, tries to come back with an uppercut. Now Lewis lands his right cross.
Boy, he made a choice with those gloves. Right on the wrist, they have power to block shots.
The fight is on.
10 seconds to go in the prophecy. And so much for the round 3 knockout.
And Holyfield goes very slowly back to his corner.
Put water on my head.
Put water on his head.
I got you. Here, this is cold.
Now you know you can get it. You know you can get it. All you got to do is do it. Stop throwing hooks. Feint him with the hook and hit him with the right hand first.
All right. Look at pushing, right? Okay.
Sir, what's your head?
Lennox, go back to the speed. Don't worry about nothing.
Get to your jab. Listen very carefully. Your jab is the key. Get back to your jab again. You will see the opening. If you keep jabbing enough, you will see the opening.
Here we see Holyfield making his effort to fulfill a prophecy, the left hand. He really never got it going. Later in the round, that right hand landed flush on the nose. Didn't bother Lewis. And Holyfield seems a little discouraged sitting in the corner. Now he has a long fight in front of him, perhaps.
Harold Letterman, how do you have it through 3?
Jim, 29-28, 2 rounds to 1, Lennox Lewis. Certainly he won the first 2 rounds because Evander didn't do much, but Evander won that 3rd round a lot bigger than Lennox won the first 2. So, very interesting fight. Lennox with the jab wins the first 2 rounds. Evander with the good hooks wins the 3rd.
But as Evander Holyfield throws those left hooks, note that he's not listening to his corner. Don Turner told him, feint with the hook, throw the right cross first. Holyfield keeps trying to come with his bread and butter, the left hook.
And that's the problem. Holyfield has never had the power to recuperate with the big guys. So after he spends his money, he has to wait a long time to get a second win. And Lennox Lewis is allowing him to get a second win.
Lewis fighting at a slow pace, but landing most of his punches. And when he throws the jab, he keeps Holyfield out at range.
And he can do this all night. Just jab and use your reach. Throw your right hand only if you see it. Good. Holyfield is having to reach for those right hands now. Lewis is taking advantage of his height advantage. What you want the shorter man to do is reach for everything.
Lewis lands the jab and fires the right cross. The more aggressively Lewis fights, the better he does, just as Emmanuel Stewart has told him all along would be the case. Right hand lands again for Lewis.
Now you notice Lewis is not putting his body into his right hand yet. Just kind of slinging them out there for measurements.
Good or bad, George?
I think it's really good because you don't want to throw nothing away. You want to make sure, hey, I'm making contact. When I do zero in, I'm going to go for the big one.
Look at how unstoppable Lewis is when he fires the jab with frequency.
He just doesn't believe in his jab, though.
Left hook lands for Holyfield. Backs Lewis into the corner again. Right hand lands inside for Holyfield. Lewis partially blocked to left.
Nothing happens when Lewis stands straight up. It's when he starts to bend as the fight go on, that's when the problems may start. That's when Holyfield can land 4 and 5 shots.
Lewis again missing just over the top with the right hand. Holyfield again blocking with his gloves.
Oh boy, chose the right gloves. One fighter is using one brand and another is using the other brand. One brain is for punching and the other brain is for blocking.
Holyfield blocking, Lewis punching. Lewis with a right hand and a left hook. Tough round to score.
Evander Holyfield did very little in that round except for a two-punch flurry.
Up too straight.
Okay.
You got to back this guy up. He don't like to be backed up. You got to back him up.
Okay.
All right, you want to cool down?
Rain the shots from underneath. You're jabbing, you're driving him down, and now you're shooting over top of the head. I keep bing, bing, and shoot the shot from up underneath. You haven't cut him in the body at all tonight. You're not one body punch shot down here.
Off the ropes.
Okay? Cut him to the body some, and then start bringing the left uppercut some. Now
Keep your feet up under there. Keep your feet up under.
Close your eyes and listen.
Take it to him a little bit more. Take it to him a little bit.
We've had less spontaneous combustion than a sort of planned obsolescence so far.
Lewis threw 36 jabs in round 4, 17 of them landed. You see that he gets the round on the Letterman card and goes up 3 rounds to 1 there.
Holyfield started to step in with his jab a little bit. Now that'll help him out. Make the big man stoop down. Make the big man bend his waist.
Holyfield stepping in the jab to the body, George, but reaching to do so. And you heard Emmanuel Stewart say, come up with the uppercut. Lewis lands a right hand. Holyfield stunned against the ropes. Hard right hand by Lewis. Holyfield on the defensive. Right hand lands again. Thunder in round 5 for Lewis. To the body, following Stewart's instructions.
Holyfield wants to catch him reaching with his right hand and land one at the same time.
Is he hurt or is he playing possum? Is he hurt or is he playing possum, George? He's hurt.
Yeah, he's had some body punching and they hurt.
And the uppercut landed flush. Long time left in the round. Finishing time for Lewis. Mercanti came over to get a good look at Evander, as if to say, why aren't you throwing back?
Holyfield started to react a little when he saw the referee coming.
Good move.
And that's an old job when you're a good fighter like that. Make the other guy throw everything he has away and then jump him.
Home court advantage for Lewis for the moment as the crowd upstairs chants for their man.
Lewis is doing a good job of keeping his hands up so far. Holyfield is having to reach and jump for everything he gets.
And this is another round in which Holyfield is going to have a low punch output unless he gets busy right now. Lewis's size, his jab, all conspiring to limit Holyfield's punch output. Evander just not getting off.
Evander Holyfield has started to fight. All of the strategy and everything is going out of the window now.
He can't win a boxing match this way. Now he goes to the body.
Once Lewis starts to bend his waist, trouble starts. You got to stay up. And Evander Holyfield has done a good job of making him bend every now and then.
Blood along the bridge of the nose of Lewis as he busts Holyfield with a 4-punch combination. Good footwork for Lewis there. Holyfield reaching but not finding anything.
Right now, Evander Holyfield looks like an old fighter.
Look at the connect percentage for Lennox Lewis.
With his long arms, Lewis hit Holyfield behind the head and may have disoriented him. And later in the round, holding him, punishing him.
It's open already.
This was the way Holyfield was supposed to look against Lewis, with Lewis backed on the ropes and Holyfield raking him.
Keep backing him up. This man is so slow. You look at this tape, you're going to blow your mind. Come on, get up there, because he's slow.
You heard Evander Holyfield say, sorry. Emmanuel Stewart say, right now this man looks slow. You wouldn't believe it on the tape. But it's only 5 rounds, and nobody has ever dealt with a crisis better than Evander Holyfield.
Lennox Lewis had a fight plan to come in aggressively behind his jab, to find the right hand occasionally, and to keep Evander Holyfield out, away from him at range. So far, he's following it almost to the tee, but Holyfield lands a big left hook as Lewis carelessly drops his right hand.
Getting a little arrogant, not a good idea against this great warrior.
You got to give Holyfield respect. Every moment that bell has not rung, you got to give him respect.
You can't make a mistake like that. Lewis lackadaisical for a moment and paid big time.
And I think it's a good little cat and mouse game Holyfield is playing.
You think he's playing possum, George?
I think he's played a lot of possum tonight.
Well, he may find himself playing himself possum out of the championship. He doesn't wake up soon.
It's hard to see how he's going to win any rounds this way.
While Lewis drops his hand and bends over, it's a mystery to me. He has a little swelling and a little blood on his face.
Lewis with blood on the bridge of his nose. Holyfield grinning a little bit as he stalks. Tries to get inside again.
Holyfield might find that any round you get a knockout is just as good as prophecy as anything.
Maybe if it's a multiple of 3, like 6.
Yep. Or 9, huh? That's not a multiple, yeah.
That'll do. Yeah, you got it. Uppercut lands for Lewis. Thunder on Holyfield's chin.
You follow a boxer and take his crown. You follow a puncher and you get knocked down.
When he was asked what would happen if he didn't win in 3 rounds, Holyfield said there's no plan B. And right now there doesn't appear to be one.
He's just naturally fighting, and I mean he's doing a good job of fighting now.
Lewis holding his left hand below his waist, George, inviting a right hand lead from Holyfield.
He's a little perplexed, so to speak. I don't know why he drops his hand.
Turner asked Holyfield to fire right hand leads, asked him to feint with the left hook and come back with the right cross. Evander hasn't done that. This is no Mike Tyson that Evander can push around the ring. He gets pushed backward when they come together.
You don't follow a puncher around. You just don't do that.
Arrogance of Lewis as he walks around the ring with his hands below his waist.
And Evander Holyfield looks dispirited.
Lennox, he got old. I got it, man. He got old on you that quick, Lennox. Talk to him. Keep your hands up. Yes. And keep your hands up.
Get back to your jab. Get the demand is high. If you ever sat down and open up, this fight is over with. You're too tentative. You're hitting the man, but you're playing too much. If you sat down and say, I'm going to sit down and dig with all this power shots in here, it's going to be over.
Look at his cup being up at his chest. We don't have any target at all. Look at his cup. It's written up right now.
If you get into your rhythm and throw combinations, what you're looking for will just flow. It'll come.
Here you see where a little arrogance creeps into Lewis's style, inviting a combination that landed but didn't land with full force.
Lennox Lewis only threw 22 jabs in that round. Emmanuel Stewart, between rounds, leading with his fighter to throw more jabs. Be less tentative.
Holyfield marked up. You think, George, that Lewis is getting the best advice now, in which he was told to go out there and really dig now, and he thinks he can get a knockout? Where Emmanuel Stewart...
They both go down in the corner. Arthur Mercanti is going to rule it a slip. Harold Letterman, how do you have it halfway through the fight?
Okay, Jim, 5 rounds to 1, 59-55, Lennox Lewis. And the judges really see the clean punches and the effective aggressiveness. You can't miss shots like that, Jim. And the only aggressive round
Holyfield is hurt, and Lewis better not play with him.
Holyfield waiting against the ropes as Lewis tries to load a right hand. You can almost hear Stewart say, throw the doggone thing. Don't wait.
Well, he saw that he was playing possum and he refused to throw it.
And he was not playing possum. He was actually hurt. But Lewis has seen a few tricks tonight, and so he's going to be conservative.
Maybe he says to himself, hey, I'm winning the boxing match with ease. Why gamble?
And that's nothing wrong with that. You win, you win.
The judges are from South Africa, England, and the USA. Left hand blocked.
That Evander Holyfield's got a left hook to the body that's really painful. Lewis evidently has one too.
Yeah, because Lewis just folded Holyfield over with a left hook to the body.
I mean it. Tonight Holyfield is going to have to fight, and it won't be anything but a fight.
Big right hand lands for Lewis. Holyfield again inactive, not throwing many punches. Uppercut, uppercut. Right hand. Holyfield stunned in the middle of the ring. Lewis misses. Goes to the body. If you want to finish...
Don't follow him, Holyfield. Don't follow him.
If you want to finish, Lennox, go to the body.
You don't want to follow a puncher when he's hurting you. Now, he should back up and try to catch him coming in with something.
There goes the chant in the upper deck again. Left hook partially blocked. Uppercut again. Now Lewis traps himself in the corner.
And he leans on the back of Holyfield. And that really takes a lot out of you when a big man lean on your back like that.
Left hook inside for Holyfield after Lewis's uppercut was partially blocked.
Holyfield has abandoned everything now. He's just throwing big hooks. And let me tell you, when Lewis starts to bend his weight just a little bit, he's going to get caught with one.
Right. Let's stop holding, fellas. Come on, let's stop holding.
Big round for Lennox Lewis.
Trying to look in the feet. Everything's going to start in the feet.
You see the way you finish that round? That's the way you got to start it and finish it the same way. These guys don't want to fight.
To make him happy, that's all. Drink it. Breathe out, Lennox. And swallow this too, okay?
Lennox, we the undisputed champion. Stay with the angle.
I told you you were going to play with
speed.
this man, didn't I? You'd have a lot of fun. Load up a little bit more power on the shots now. Okay, but you gradually get back to your jab. The main thing is your jab, and keep your hands up.
In round 7, by CompuBox numbers, Holyfield was 8 of 21. Lennox Lewis, 33 of 59, including 22 of 32 power shots. Don Turner is getting more desperate as he asks his fighter to fight.
Lewis is just stepping back a little bit and just dropping right hands. He's got his defense set now. He doesn't have to back up at all anymore.
George Holyfield hasn't gotten inside except on a very few occasions.
Yeah, because Holyfield is more effective when his opponent is coming to him. Lewis is stepping back just a little bit to make Holyfield reach out at everything he gets.
You remember, Jim, when we did the punch stat, I reminded everyone that Holyfield basically likes to be a counterpuncher. And he's not getting a chance to do the counterpunching here.
Lewis is acting like a matador. He stands there, jab, 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 and then slides left and right.
Little combination for Lewis. Not a lot of velocity behind the punches, but he stays active. Holyfield gets in a couple little whacks to the body. But generally speaking, punch combinations few and far between for Evander.
Vander's getting into a jabbing contest, and that's not what he wants right now. This guy has a good jab, and his trainers told him to use it. You need to stay close and just touch him every now and then. Just get a little closer and stay closer. You see, you don't have to hit him hard, just stay close. Make him unravel.
Put your hands. Great, pull, time. Vander. Watch your head.
Right cross, left hook, both landed for Lewis. Holyfield walking in, but not punching.
Well, that jab of Lewis has really been a good Sugar Ray Robinson left jab now. He just doesn't seem to believe in it enough.
Holyfield manages to force an uppercut through Lewis's guard and tries to attack, but Lewis fending him off, staying at range, using his jab, occasionally pounding Evander with the right hand, generally having his way. You could make a case, I know it isn't there on Letterman's card, but you could make a case that the Englishman has won every round so far.
You're pulling him into it. Watch.
Right hand stops Evander in his tracks again.
Come on, you're pulling his head into you. Let's go.
Evander Holyfield may be a warrior, but he's a silent warrior right now.
You have to wonder whether that prophecy has just taken all the heart out of him, or whether it was just wishful thinking on his part.
You got to start pumping your jab.
Coming in, he's doing that.
And start taking left up.
You won that round.
Slipping and came inside was very, very effective. Let's get back to what we worked on.
Right back to basics.
This is the most effective jab we have seen Lennox Lewis for a long time. That long jab there. It's not a punishing jab, but Holyfield can't get away from it, can't launch anything, and even that quick right hand is almost like a jab. By keeping it busy, Holyfield is unable to mount an attack.
And you see the numbers from Coffee Box on jabs through round 8. It's been a wipeout. Lewis using his jab so far to dominate the action against Holyfield. In round 8, Lewis threw 36 jabs and landed half of them. Holyfield 6 of 12. Lewis bouncing a little bit now as round 9 begins.
Now that's what Holyfield wants. Get Lewis to bounce and get off the pitcher's mound, so to speak. Then you can get something going. But as long as you got him standing there, it's like batting practice. Make him bounce, you bounce, make him miss, and then counter.
There's a little bit of urgency now in Holyfield's step. You can sense that he knows he has to get going.
Evander Holyfield has been past 8 rounds 10 times in his career. Lewis only 4, and Lewis has never had a knockout past the 8th. But why would he need it? Right now, with 4 rounds to go, on Harold Letterman's card at least, Lewis is ahead by 6 points. So the fighter who needs a knockout as we come down the stretch here is the warrior in the purple trunks.
Lewis, every now and then, whenever he drops his hand or bend his waist, he get in trouble. But as long as he's straight up, it's his night.
Lewis, well aware that he's not skilled as an infighter, told us that when Holyfield came inside, he would tie him up or push him away. And you see him doing exactly that here.
Now, I don't know about who's the better infighter tonight, but I think Lewis is looking like the better one when you think about what's going in.
Well, when he uses the uppercut, George, he triples his effectiveness as an infighter. Stewart got him to start using it after the 4th round, and it's made a difference.
Lewis is boxing now.
There is certainly not a lot of drama here. It's lived down to its worst possible scenario.
Lewis, all he has to do is keep his right hand up and just circle Holyfield to his right. Go to his right and make him throw his left hook.
Lewis landed a short right hand with a thud. Thought for a minute he might have Holyfield hurt. Evander comes pressing forward and firing the left.
It's going to be a fight. Lewis is not going to be given to him, nor will it be given to Holyfield.
Time running out on Holyfield. 3 rounds to go after this.
Lewis is taking some of the power out of his punches, and he's just thumping. That's even better, because if Holyfield charges him a little bit, he can even put a little power to it.
Evander reaching with a right hand. Lewis ties him up again. Crowd in the expensive seats at floor level, largely silent as they are mystified by Lewis's dominance of their man.
Has Lewis got a cut?
Round like that.
Got 3 more rounds, bro.
Around like that. As long as you're doing something, he's reacting to you.
Gotta make him fight you. You gotta make him fight you. Get in close and dog him, man.
Come on, right up here. Move your gloves. Move your gloves.
Do it again after you do it.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, just keep working the jab. Keep your hands up. Keep working your jab. Jabbing from up on top. You understand?
Let it
go. Jabbing from up on top.
There it is.
Okay? Jabbing from on top. Don't jab from jabbing low. Your man cannot avoid you.
Great job to do it. There's no problem.
As long as
Move your head.
that round, you can
All
take
he
the round.
want to do is survive. Don't let him survive.
Now, please. Okay,
Keep your hands up.
Keep your pumping your jabs from the top. Jabbing from. Come on, let's go.
Evander Holyfield has had some surprises and miracles in his career. He needs one for these last 3 rounds.
Harold, how do you have it through 9?
Jim, 7 rounds to 2, 88-83, Lennox Lewis. I like Evander Holyfield. He gets aggressive, but I've only seen aggressiveness in 2 rounds, and that's the 3rd of the night. I thought he pulled out the knife by getting aggressive, just like he's doing now.
Here comes the aggressiveness. Here comes the Holyfield rally. Here comes the indomitable warrior we've seen so many times.
Actually, Lewis was caught complaining, and then he got himself in trouble.
Step back.
He's complaining about headbutts.
Let me tell you, when you're fighting Holyfield, he brings out everything. Headbutt, kick, slinging. He's been doing everything tonight, picking up guys.
Well, Lewis isn't the first fighter to complain that Holyfield butts. Mike Tyson spent a lot of time talking to referees in Nevada about that.
Evander knows how to be a rough fighter, and it's a rough game.
Yeah, but Joe Lewis would never revert to all of that.
Hard right hand for Holyfield. Biggest punch in a while. Lewis landed the jab and left it out there while Holyfield stepped in and landed the right.
Great. You know, Evander is picking up some steam here. But every time he steps back, when he catches that right hand, you got to keep it on him, Evander.
First minute and a half of the 10th round, enough to give the Holyfield contingent hope. Now the action slows again.
He's got to keep it on. He just can't wait back there. Every time he hurts Lennox, he backs up, takes a deep breath.
Right cross landed for Lewis.
Holyfield got a little bit of it himself.
Steps inside and grabs. Holyfield blowing air through his mouthpiece. Lewis tries to go back to using his jab.
You know what? That's what you want the smaller, the shorter arm a fighter to do, is keep following you, reaching. Reach out for everything you get. Make him miss by keeping your hands up.
Uppercut landed again for Lewis.
Holyfield should be closer. You just got to stay close. Anything good is going to happen because Holyfield is close.
Yeah, when they're out at range like this, Evander just can't deal with it. For that reason, jab, jab, jab.
Lewis goes to the body 2 or 3 times, and he comes back up to the head. Floyd Patterson would love that.
This guy, man, you gotta stay close and you gotta work hard, man.
You took that round like the last one. That's all you gotta do.
How you feel, man?
Good. I started that round just like we want you to.
Push the man back, Lennox. You start pushing him back, you're going to do a lot better.
That was his last
Push him back,
stand,
okay? Push him back. He won. Don't put too much water because we got him too wet here. Okay. Start pushing him back.
Here's where Holyfield come in and butted Lewis in the head. Lewis is complaining and caging him. Later in the round, the best punch Holyfield has thrown perhaps in this fight.
And they both landed right hands in that sequence. Fascinatingly, round 10 was Holyfield's best in CompuBox numbers. 21 out of 55 punches. But Lewis was 31 of 48, including 24 of 37 jabs. So he continues to pound the jab with accuracy.
Lewis does not need to get into the counter-punching game. You want to keep Holyfield waiting. You want to keep leading. Don't be a counter-puncher. Start the fight. Land the first punch and the last punch.
You know, going into this fight, conventional wisdom was that Holyfield had the skill, Lewis had the strength, but Lewis has simply outskilled him tonight.
You know what? All of the talk about it, Evander may have had too many wars. It hasn't seemed like it tonight.
You don't think Evander's had too many wars?
No, Evander's very strong. He's not winning the fight in a fantastic way, but let me tell you, his legs are aren't shaking. He hasn't been knocked down clearly. All of the effects of an old fighter, they just have not happened to him tonight.
Well, that's good, but he's not winning the fight, George.
It's because of that left jab. If someone would just come in and take away that jab.
Yeah, well, it's like Larry says. It's Lewis's tactical skill that's winning the fight for him.
This boy was an Olympic heavyweight champion one time.
And he lands a big right hand as Holyfield comes inside. You see the natural counter-punching tendency of Lewis. When Holyfield comes toward him, he lands.
They both would prefer to be counter-punchers, but Lewis has done more leading with his jab tonight.
I think Lewis have even surprised himself at how good he's boxed tonight. Left jab, stepping to the left, stepping to the right.
Never better. Never better. The question was, would Lennox Lewis show up for a big fight? And he did.
Good right hand by Evander Holyfield.
Big lands. But Lewis seems unruffled by it.
All he does is stick his left hand out there and stops everything. It doesn't even have to be hard. When Lewis just sticks it out there, it stops. All of the action.
Right now, no British fighter in this century has been closer to winning an undisputed heavyweight champion. But there is still one round to go against a great fighter who has not been great tonight.
3 minutes to go to a unified heavyweight championship. Lennox Lewis has never lost a decision.
You're making a miss, but you ain't doing shit behind it. You let him miss, come back with something. All you doing is doing this, doing this. You gotta be a little more aggressive on it. You let me goddamn man miss, but I would give it the round because you ain't doing nothing but just been satisfied to do this shit. Last round, touch gloves, champ.
He's giving the ring up to you, so you gotta be a little tougher.
You gotta outwork him.
You gotta be simple, short and sweet. And fire, I knew you kicked your heads up, you can't do shit. Sweet. But you let him miss. Close the show now. You saved it all, man.
You walk by faith, not by sight. Let's go there, brother. Mouthpiece.
Now let's close the show.
Who will close the show?
Who wants it? Let's go. Who wants it? Let's go.
Unless our eyes have fooled us badly, Evander Holyfield needs a knockout desperately right now to hold on to his shares of the heavyweight championship of the world. Lewis thudding with the right hand over and over.
Lewis trying to close the show in style rather than sit on a lead.
And you heard the urgency of Emmanuel Stewart between rounds.
I believe that Holyfield has one more knockdown in his right there and stuck in those arms. He's still got one.
You're rooting for the old guy, George, understandably.
He hasn't been close to knocking Lewis down, George.
He's got one more punch, I'm telling you.
Let's go. We'll hold the last round.
He's landed punches. He hasn't been close to knocking him down.
If only Lewis would just bend his waist.
Lewis lands the right hand again as Holyfield leans in.
You want him to bend his waist into a Holyfield punch? Is that what you want, George?
You trying to keep the title in the colonies, George? They're singing upstairs. They're cheering downstairs. The applause is building.
Let's keep it clean on this one.
Keep it clean. Isn't that nice? The referee said the magic word. Keep it clean.
Mercanti Jr. doing a brilliant job.
It's been a good
all the way
fight.
through.
Holyfield now seems to be just waiting for the bell to ring. Come on, Holyfield, do something.
He hasn't got it, George. The old warrior has no rally left. Lewis just staring him down.
I don't think he should taunt the great guy, though.
Precious seconds tick away as Lewis again ties Holyfield up inside. It's
Holyfield's
been
never
an
had
easy
the endurance
boxing exhibition for the bigger man.
He's never had the endurance in the 12th rounds with the big guys. But let me tell you, he's had the heart.
This fight may be the biggest anticlimax dramatically since the impeachment, but if a Brit wins, it will be the biggest news in the British Isles for many a decade.
Not since Bob Fitzsimmons in 1897 has a citizen of Great Britain held an undisputed heavyweight title. We may be minutes away from that watershed right now. Harold Letterman, what's your final scorecard?
117, 111, 9 rounds to 3. Lennox Lewis. He pulled out 11 and 12 impressively. Holyfield only won 9, 10, and 3. No question, no doubt about it. Lennox Lewis wins the fight. The better jab, the cleaner punching, the harder right hands.
Let's see if the judges from South Africa, Great Britain, and New Jersey agree. They're celebrating in Lewis's corner as Holyfield walks and waits. Final punch stat numbers are overwhelmingly one-sided. Lewis landing 218 more blows, more than doubling Holyfield's landed punch number, and nearly doubling his output. And Lewis landing at an astonishing 57%, including 51% of his jabs. If the judges see fit to ignore this kind of numerical dominance, you would wonder how.
You know, I gotta say something.
Please do.
The people at Time Warner, they produced the youngest heavyweight champ of the world, the oldest heavyweight champion. When all the dust is settled, they produced, once again, the United Heavyweight One Champion of the world, Seth Abraham. You got to give it to the guy.
Well, on behalf of the company, thank you, George.
But
You're a part of it, too.
This is an event. This was happening before I came on the scene.
We're ready for the official decision. Let's go to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of boxing here at Madison Square Garden, we go to the scorecards at this time. Judge at ringside, Eugenia Williams, scores the bout 115 to 113 in favor of Evander Holyfield. Judge at ringside, Stanley Christodoulou, scores the bout 116 to 113 in favor of Lennox Lewis. Judge at ringside, Larry O'Connell, scores the bout 115 to 115, even a draw. The decision is even a draw. Both champions retain their belts.
That's a travesty. That is, ladies and gentlemen, a travesty, an outrage, a highway robbery. Lennox Lewis has just been robbed of the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. He won it, and he didn't get it.
You know, that is a shame.
It's a Brinks job. Holyfield getting the benefit of the doubt from scorers who apparently didn't appreciate what they saw. And Larry O'Connell of Great Britain is the man with the even scorecard. Gene Williams from New Jersey scored it for Holyfield. Only Stanley Christodoulou of South Africa saw the fight. And Larry Merchant is in the ring with still holder of 2 title belts, Evander Holyfield.
Thank you very much, Jim. Evander, you still have 2 belts. You're still the heavyweight champion of the world. Do you feel like the heavyweight championship of the world after this fight?
Yes, I feel like the heavyweight champion of the world. The whole thing is I'm not the judge as I was fighting, and I haven't got a chance to view the fight. I can't be watching the fight and fighting at the same time.
Well, I know you can't score the fight, Evander, but virtually everybody we know at ringside thought that this was a decisive win for your opponent, Lennox Lewis. Were you surprised to get the draw?
Well, it's real simple. The people around the ring is not the judge. You know, things happen to me sometimes like that. That's just the way it flows. You know, there's always the next time.
When you say there's always a next time, does that mean you want to give him a rematch to resolve this?
Oh, sure. You know, in 6 months, if you want to get it on, we'll get it on. In 6 months, it ain't no problem with me.
Let's talk about the 3rd round. You were convinced the fight would end in the 3rd round. You said you didn't even have a plan B if it didn't end in the 3rd round. What happened and how did you feel about it?
Well, you know, of course I felt that I was going to get him out in the 3rd round. You know, I believe and I worked it to the end. Lennox Lewis had something else to say. You know, he was able to have a good defense. He was able to...
All right, here we see. Were you saving it in the first 2 rounds to try to get him in the 3rd?
Well, I wasn't saving it. The whole thing is that, you know, I was just taking my time. And the point of taking my time, you know, he was able to get the jab off a lot of time.
Did he surprise you by how well he boxed you from outside and didn't allow you to get inside on him?
Well, he did well. He did well, and it wasn't no surprise. He did the thing that was necessary. He kept me on the end of the jab, and then kept me out there, and I would get a chance to fight inside.
You looked a little dispirited after that 3rd round. You sagged a little bit. I mean, this was a really important prediction for you. It was divinely inspired, according to you.
Well, yeah, you know, I still love the Lord, and you know, the Lord is my Savior. I still believe in the Lord. It's just sometimes we wrong. Sometimes, you know, you think you heard something you didn't, and so it's all good. I still give praise to the Lord.
Do you think you did your best? Was that an Evander Holyfield performance tonight?
Well, you know, I guess I did the best I could tonight. And but that's the only thing I said. It's not my best performance, though.
What do you want to say to Lennox Lewis?
Well, my whole thing is that he ain't nothing like a man that when he get his opportunity, he shined. The man really shined. I never say he wasn't tough. He showed that he was tough, and it's good for the game of boxing.
Was he a better fighter than you thought he was?
Well, I never did think that he was a bad fighter. I just know that style makes fight, and he did well this time, you know.
Thank you very much, Evander.
Thank you.
All right. All right, we're going to talk to Emmanuel Stewart. Lennox Lewis was so disgusted with the decision that he left the ring. Emmanuel Stewart, first give us your impression of the scoring of the fight.
First of all, it was a terrible decision. Anybody could see the fight, and I normally don't even complain, even the Thomas Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard #2 fight. But this fight is really what's hurting boxing. Every time we try to move boxing forward and make a great fight of some type like this kind of crap that comes on, well, Evander only won 3 rounds out of 4 at the most. But nevertheless, it's called a draw. This is what's killing boxing.
Did Lennox Lewis do everything you thought he could do to control this fight?
Lennox Lewis did not do everything I thought he could do, but he definitely won the fight. He controlled the fight, that was for sure, and he won the fight.
Did the third round theme that we had going into this fight, it looked as though Holyfield was saving himself for that third round, and that the life went out of him after he was unable to do anything with Lewis.
Not only did he go after the third round, but before the third round he didn't do anything. But nevertheless, he keeps his championships. You know, it was totally, Lennox Lewis controlled the fight, better defense, better ring generalship, and completely outboxed him all the way. And the last round, if there was any doubt at all, he did close the show, that I thought, with a very good display of boxing the last round.
Should there be a rematch?
You know, if they're going to call these kind of decisions, this is why we need federal regulation right now. If they're going to have a rematch, it would be great, but who's going to stop this from happening again?
Thank you very much, Emmanuel Stewart, and now to Nick Charles.
Well, Larry, I'm standing outside Lennox Lewis's dressing room, and the reason we're outside is he won't let us in. He is distraught and angry about what happened. Incredulous is what really the word. Lewis thought he clearly won. You just heard Emmanuel Stewart. Dino Duva, who was also in the corner, is blaming the WBA judge, had Evander Holyfield ahead by 3 points. But shock and disbelief are the words here outside Lennox Lewis's dressing room. He came storming in, whacked the door, hit the dressing room table, and just laid down. He is a bitter, angry man at this point, and as we said, most observers had him ahead, him winning this fight decisively, so we see his point.
And another look at Lewis as he left the ring and made his way angrily to the dressing room, and you wonder when he'll be in a frame of mind to talk about the highway robbery which has just taken place in this heavyweight unification bout. Once again, at one of the most critical and propitious moments possible, boxing's cesspool opens to emit an unconscionable odor. The last time we saw a decision like this, George, Shannon Briggs was getting a win over you in Atlantic City. It must be particularly hurtful to somebody who cares as much as you do about the sport to see this kind of thing happen.
Yeah, it's a shame on one hand, but on another hand, the Queen and all the subjects can be proud. This man, Lennox Lewis, proved that he is no doubt the best heavyweight in the world today. He won the fight. The people, it's all about people anyway. Will they come the next time? Will they crown him? I think so tonight. He was crowned.
So in your view, George, Lennox Lewis is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, that's all there is to it. Now you just got to move on and forget it, because nothing can dampen it. We had a major event here today. The people here, the people around the world, they saw the best that we could give them in the heavyweight division. No one can ever put a cloud over this. I love it, and I'd like to see it again.
If you're Lennox Lewis, after what has happened to you here, do you go ahead and make the commitment to fight the guy again?
Yeah, you just get up, dust your pants off, and go and fight him again. Knock him out next time. You can't cry in the room. There's nothing in the dressing room. Nothing comes to a crier but some more tears. You just got to get up and go get it. Forget about tonight. It's over. You had a wonderful time. You proved to the world you're good, but put a smile on your face, because you always have tomorrow.
And you can almost imagine Emmanuel Stewart saying to his man right now, if you had committed more, if you weren't as tentative, you'd be celebrating a knockout victory right now. Larry Merchant, your final comments on the stench of this horrible decision.
Well, it's almost beyond the stench, Jim. Lennox Lewis has suffered so many slings and arrows in America. He's had a really wonderful career. Our best fighters, heavyweights, have shamelessly avoided him in this decade. He comes here tonight, fights the best of the best right now, decisively controls him throughout the fight, beats him up, and doesn't get the decision. I think that it's time that the slings and arrows ought to be aimed at all of those who have slinged and arrowed him. I'm ashamed as a boxing fan and as an American who has seen this foreigner take so much stuff from our people simply because he's not an American, that in his great moment of glory was taken away from him.
You saw the fight. Lennox Lewis was the winner. 2 judges fraudulently converted it into a draw, and it's over. Let's go back up to our host, James Brown.
All right, Jim, and sad to say that it is indeed over. Roy, let me ask you, what in the world would you do had you done what Lennox Lewis did tonight and the decision was as we saw it?
Well, there's nothing he could do but to do like he did, conduct himself as an adult, make his country look beautiful. I had the same thing happen to me in Seoul, Korea, and I represented my country to the best of my ability. And the people from the other country felt ashamed that their country treated me that way. I'm like Larry. I feel ashamed tonight that we treated Lennox Lewis the way we did, because he gave it an all-out effort. But anytime Don King's involved, you can expect a draw to come from somewhere. Ask Pernell Whitaker about the Julio Cesar Chavez fight. You know something like that was in the air if he's here. I mean, that's just the way it goes. And that's the type of things that make you stray away from boxing. That's the type of things that has Roy Jones to where he doesn't want to stick around in boxing. I fought a lot of times last year, but I worked hard each and every training camp to go in and be treated fair. If you come out and you ain't treated fair, why should you do it? I mean, it's so corrupt already. Why keep on doing this? And then you got people that complain about stuff like rodeos and other things, other sports about stuff with animals, and we can't even get sports with humans right. I mean, it's totally unfair. I love Evander Holyfield. I thought Evander Holyfield gave it a very game effort, but you win some and you lose some. Roy Jones can lose if somebody ever beat me. I'm not saying nobody could ever beat me, but if you beat me, you beat me. If you don't beat me, then I'm upset. And tonight I'm upset because Lennox Lewis did not lose, and it was not a draw. As simple as that.
At least in wrestling, going in what the deal is. Here, it is absolutely unbelievable. Folks, let's take a look at the reaction of both Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield at the decision this evening. A preposterous one indeed. Lennox Lewis cannot believe it. He gave his absolute best. He won it in punches, every way imaginable, but yet Evander Holyfield retains his 2 belts. Lennox Lewis retains his. There is no undisputed heavyweight champion, as there should be after tonight's bout. Once again, we'd like to remind you that you can watch the post-fight press conference live on the internet with the Windows Media Player at www.holyfieldlewis.com. Well, it was supposed to have been the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship. We gave it our best. It was brought to you by TVKO, pay-per-view entertainment from HBO. Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena. MoneyGram, international money transfer. Golden Ram Memory, the fastest growing memory company in the world. And by Budweiser, undisputed, undefeated king of beers. For Jim Lampley, Larry Merchant, George Foreman, Roy Jones Jr., Nick Charles, and Harold Letterman, this is James Brown saying so long from New York's Madison Square Garden. The executive producer of TVKO is Ross Greenberg. Tonight's broadcast was produced by Rick Bernstein and directed by Mark Payton. Associate directors Kirby Bradley, David Leapson, and Brian McDonald. Feature producers Greg Backer and Max Siegel. Assistant to the producer Matt Boland. The production managers John McCallie, Mark Hayden, and Holly Peterman. The technical supervisor John Tomlinson. And the technical director Douglas Getz. To discuss that Lennox Lewis felt was palpable, visual, but we have in fact gotten into the locker room of Lennox Lewis. Let's check in right now with Lennox Lewis to get his thoughts on the travesty that was a decision in tonight's bout.
I'm here with Lennox Lewis and Emmanuel Stewart. Lennox, your feeling. This bout ends in a draw. Most people thought you won decisively.
I'm so disappointed. You know, I felt that I won the fight hands down. What can I say? I felt that I would have run into the ring with 1 belt and come out with 3. I was expecting 3 belts, but I don't even know what to say. I'm so disappointed.
It's incomprehensible to you. What was the problem?
Well, I think to me it looks like the judges was rigged almost. I hate to say it. This is a sport that I make my living in, and I'm ashamed of it, what I saw, and I'm going to speak out.
I'm saying, did he hit me with a jab? I hit him with jabs all night.
Did he ever shake you up?
No, not in the least, not one bit. I cannot believe the outcome. I cannot believe the outcome.
As the rounds were clicking on, was there any doubt in your mind that maybe things were getting close, that perhaps you really had to put them away, that you needed a 10-8 round, that you needed to win with conviction down the stretch?
No, I felt that I won. I lost at least about 2 rounds. I lost 2 rounds. That's all I felt.
What about a rematch right now? Can you take any solace in the fact that you're completely convinced you're the better man? How do you walk away from this and leave it alone? You have to go right back at him?
Well, I believe there should be an automatic rematch. I doubt if he's going to want to fight me again. Like I said in the beginning, Evander Holyfield never seen nothing like Lennox Lewis, and he looked like an old man in there. He looked slow to me. He was missing a lot of punches. I hit him with jabs, right hands. He was hurt a couple times. I don't even know what the judges were looking at.
So what are we going to look for now? I mean, how do you go back to work Monday?
Disappointed, but I'm happy because the whole world's seen it for themselves. I know they wouldn't let me. I know they wouldn't let me leave with all 3 belts without trying to do some kind of funny business. You know, it worried me because it was a Don King promotion. But what can I say? You know, I boxed him in his home turf and still won.
2 champions enter the ring tonight. 2 champions somehow
yes,
left.
Patrick, big it up.
That's the story from Lennox Lewis's locker room.
All right, Nick, thank you very much, and we thank those of you very much who stuck around to hear that. In fact, a very, very strong job by Lennox Lewis, who maintained his composure and indeed showed some class, enough to share his thoughts on what was simply unbelievable. That which was supposed to have been undisputed is indeed unbelievable. For all of us here at TVKO, I'm James Brown. Good night, everyone.